Yeah. Yeah. Come and never sleep on me. Eyes on my chain 숙여 너의 고개를 what you looking at fool 너의 눈 허리 멍청했고 find your comfort from another yeah I go low like undercover yeah wanna know my name 죽지 않은 일은 위에 부어버려 기름 guess you can even guess me cause I'm baby high low로 확실해 not like maybe Devil let me welcome to my palace 찾지 않아 Alice you just keep on wonder You just keep on wonder 찾지 않아 Alice 버려 너의 memory I just pop a bin Danny have been 나는 걸어 Boeing 747 날개 위
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Lynham, also known as For Your Eyes Only, and I'm here with my boy Colton the Living Daylights Flat and Sheriff J.W. Pepper, also known as Caleb Mabry. And we are, of course, For Your Ears Only, a Bondcast. And this week we're looking at Live and Let Die, 1971. Colton, Caleb, Colton and Sheriff, how are y'all doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to see y'all.
I'm doing pretty good, boy. You picked the wrong parish to haul ass through.
Man, I've got to get my dad to watch this because he's gonna like that. But I'm gonna start us off, and I want to talk about just a little bit of a personal connection for me and this movie. Live and Let Die was one of the first Bond movies. I think it actually is the first Bond movie I ever owned. I owned the VHS of it, and my stepmother, some of her family is from, well, not from, but they live in Louisiana, or they used to. And I remember getting this movie and watching it whenever I was a kid. I even remember the advertisements on the VHS. There was an advertisement for the video game Tomorrow Never Dies, because I guess
Yeah, I remember
this was
that.
coming out, like, I guess maybe the VHS came out in 1999, 1998, and that was the time when they was making this game. And I remember every time I would watch Live and Let Die, which you got to remember, this was for a minute the only Bond movie I had, so I'd watch it a lot. And I would remember watching the little teaser for Tomorrow Never Dies, the game, and thinking it would look so awesome. And then they had another teaser for all the other Bond movies. They wanted you to buy all the other ones. And so it was really enjoyed doing that, watching those little advertisements, and always loved this movie. I mean, I don't think it's all nostalgia, because I do feel like this is a very good movie by itself. I don't think it needs nostalgia rose tinted glasses. I think it's a good movie. What are your thoughts on it? We'll start with you, Colton.
Man, when I first started watching this movie, I was expecting to hate it because, I had I guess preconceived notions about Roger Moore. But honestly, he really surprised me. I didn't think he was going to be prim and proper like he was, and I thoroughly enjoyed what I got out of this movie. I don't have any nostalgia connections to it, but it was a pretty good film. Like, to me, I don't know, and that's from somebody who's never seen it before, so it surprised me.
Oh, so we're getting a just completely fresh opinion on it from you, because this is the first time you've ever watched it, correct?
Yeah. I've never seen any of Moore's films up to this point. Like, I'd seen everybody at least once before, but famously, like, I had never watched a single Moore film. So
okay,
it was a new thing for me.
JW, can I get your initial thoughts? Just
Sure, yeah, I'm gonna drop the accent now.
Okay.
I cannot do that the whole show.
Thank you.
I liked it, man. I really don't know what else to say about it. I have a little bit of nostalgia attached to it as well, because I watched it quite a bit as a kid. I love the song. That is, like, I don't know, I just remember jamming out to it all the time as a kid. I think I heard the song before I saw the movie, which is probably the case with a lot of people. Like, I think it's one of the more famous Bond songs.
Yeah.
But no, my initial thoughts, yeah, solid movie.
Completely agree. So just starting out, I want to discuss maybe 2 or 3 little points before we really get on to the movie. First is Roger Moore as Bond. And Colton, I don't know if you remember me bringing this up in the Doctor No. I don't know if I did bring this up in the Doctor No podcast, but I've always heard that Roger Moore was, kind of sought out to be James Bond back in Doctor No. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but I mean, what are your thoughts on Roger Moore?
So I think Roger Moore, as I've seen him so far, is fine as Bond. I have not seen him in anything else other than Cannonball Run.
Okay.
And like he was just playing like a little bit more of a doofier version of himself in that. I don't really have any complaints about him. Maybe some of the writing sometimes. His acting's good. Like I would like to see him in more things to get a better grasp of him as an actor. But overall, like, I mean, he looks handsome. Like, he doesn't traditionally look like what I would think James Bond looks like. But I mean, he's the handsome dude. He looks really fit in this movie. And I don't know. Had he been in Doctor No, do you think he would have done Bond for 20 years?
I have no idea. Do y'all know how old Roger Moore is in this movie?
No. How old is he?
Roger Moore is 45 years old in Live and Let Die.
He is older. He is older than Connery.
He is the
And
oldest.
Diamonds Are Forever.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So young.
Roger Moore is the oldest of all the official Bond actors. He was born in 1927, beating out Connery, who was born 1930.
That's nuts because he looks like young here.
That's the thing that stood out to me when after the pre-title sequence. I know we're not there yet, but since we're talking about Roger Moore, like that scene where we're introduced to him, I was like, he looks like a boy here.
Yeah, very, very young looking.
Yeah.
So also something else I wanted to bring up. We're really getting into the time period where, of course, you look back at the 60s, Bond was like what was really influencing a lot of movies. We had Spy Mania. There's a lot of movies that tried to copy the Bond formula. With this, I think with Live and Let Die, I really do think that now Bond is being influenced by other movies. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched any blaxploitation movies. I watched a few of them, but I think it's obvious that in Live and Let Die, it's being influenced by blaxploitation. Like I'm gonna throw a few titles out there, but like there's a movie called Black Caesar. That, it's got all all black actors in it, just kind of like the way this movie is. That was kind of a big thing during the early 1970s. Shaft was another one.
I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
Okay, so you've heard of 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm familiar with the titles, but I've never seen them either.
So and I'm going to bring this up in the coming podcasts that we're going to do because a lot of the more Bond movies are influenced by other genres, but I do want to start out with the gun barrel. So I have to say this is one of my favorite gun barrel sequences. I love the music behind it. I love the pose that Moore is doing in the gun barrel. I dig it. I think it looks good. Moore will keep that same pose in the gun barrel for this movie and The Man with the Golden Gun. And starting with The Spy Who Loved Me, he changes to another pose. That's a kind of a little nitpicky thing, but there you go.
So, like, why does he grab his arm?
I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
not a very practical
I know.
way to hold a gun, but
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but in real life, Roger Moore was like terrified of guns. He hated them.
I want to say he was sort of outspoken against guns.
So
he with that being said, he didn't know a lot about guns. Probably
he honestly probably didn't know how to, handle it
which
well.
Which nowadays, I'll say this to the benefit of modern movies. It seems like anytime there's guns involved, the actors kind of go through a course maybe
Yes.
to make it look like they halfway know what they're doing. Back then, I don't think they were that worried about it.
Yep. So opening up onto the pre-title sequence, we have the United Nations building, which isn't too exciting, but we do see what's going on inside it, and we get a very, very quick glimpse of Solitaire and Dr. Kananga in this building, which we're going to come back to later on. But we have a man who dies at the table because of an
Radio
earpiece.
interference.
Dude, I don't know what exactly the plunger did to his earpiece. I just know, like, it just looked painful.
Yeah.
It really, I guess it was the plunger more than anything, just really sold that, like, maybe it was just an immense amount of pressure in his ear all at once.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looked bad.
It was weird, for sure.
And of course, then we go to New Orleans and we have another man being killed. Like, and this is one of the more memorable scenes, I think, is he's out there just hanging out, and that little short priest walks up to him, and he says, whose funeral is it? And dude just kills him.
I will say real quick about that scene when they lower the casket over his dead body and then pick it up. I guess when I was a kid, this is me misremembering it, I'm sure, but I just remember there being a visible cut there, and I didn't see it. Like,
Yeah.
if this was if that scene was like touched up, maybe that would make sense. But just that effect was pulled off really well.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job on it.
I don't even get how that would work, equipment wise. Like you would catch like his clothes hanging out the bottom of it or something.
I know.
Yeah, so it could have been a trap door type thing. I don't know.
And also, would there not be blood in the street? Like, I mean,
you would think so for sure.
Yeah, there would also be blood if you got bit by a snake, but we'll get to that.
And
there would also be a snake opening its mouth whenever it bites.
Yeah,
which it did.
And thank you, Caleb. That actually leads into
good segue.
Segue into the island of San Monique.
I will say this: it did look like he had a little bit of blood on his neck already, but it was not from the snake bite. So
yeah, that snake scene. Every time I watch it, it's just laughable how dumb and daft it is. Like,
I kind of think that they did that on purpose, just maybe for the censors. Maybe if they had made it look too real,
yeah,
it would have been an issue. But that's a minor thing. It didn't really bother me.
Yeah. So we go into the. Also, I do want to say this. This just it comes from the geography nerd that's inside of me. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm big into geography. I'm a history guy, but San Monique is a entirely fictional little area.
What?
Yeah. It's and Colton, I heard that a lot of its ancestors actually come from Wakanda.
Oh,
so
interesting.
And
that is pretty interesting.
That's actually a fictional area too, Colton. I'm sorry.
What?
What?
I've been lied to by Disney and Marvel.
Dude, next you're gonna tell me the Earth is round. Come on, man.
No, anyway, but for real though, the pre-title not the pre-title sequence, the actual title sequence. How do y'all like it? Of course, we got our song, which I'm gonna have to say probably I would say top 5 Bond songs.
Yeah. The song's killer for me. I will say I think 1 or 2 times in the movie it's overplayed. Like I like the instrumentals. I don't like when it's in the cabaret.
I'm with you on that. I do. I like the soundtrack cues. Uh, yeah, I wasn't really thrilled about him singing it in the bar. But yeah, I love this song. As far as the title sequence itself, the visuals are okay. You know, it's not the prettiest to look at, and it's not supposed to be. I get that, but it just kind of looks janky.
I feel like we get really close to like actual nudity in this three-title sequence on some of the women
Yeah.
that are in it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Yeah. It's not very subtle.
not at all. And I mean, seriously, it's just there, which I mean,
Colton
it's
Colton
fine.
made Colton made a comment in the On Her Majesty's Secret Service show about how this series does nudity well, subtle nudity. Not so much in this one.
No.
Yeah, I have to agree. So I'm gonna add this, and then I want to move on from the title sequence. Just talking about the music, guys, and I'm gonna have to reel myself in because I could sit here and talk about the song "Live and Let Die" all day. I love it, but just the score of this movie. I actually have the album for this movie, and I wish I'd brought it on. But the album, I mean the record for it, it's a great record. I do feel like the score of this movie is one of my all-time favorites. I love the score for this movie. It's great.
Very, very 70s.
Yes,
As soon as
like
the as soon as we open, as soon as we get the gun barrel, you get the hint of groovy bass line
yes, yeah.
accompanying the Bond theme. But I dig it. I really do.
Colton, do you have anything to say to that?
No, I have really no complaints. Like, I feel like it sets the tone for the movie really well. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Like, there's nothing bad I can say about it.
So just moving right along. I'm gonna be completely like. I mean, actually, I'm just gonna say this, man. This next scene we only get a scene like this in 3 Bond movies. All right, and it's actually inside James Bond's house
Oh
or his flat.
yeah.
Like we only get 3 times. One in Doctor No,
I recall
one
that.
in this movie, and one in Spectre. I believe is
Mhm.
Spectre. Three
So
times we get to see where this man lives.
is it his flat, Inspector?
Yeah, or apartment or
Okay.
whatever.
I don't remember that. I just remember his bungalow and
Yeah.
No Time to Die or whatever. But
So I want to say this about the watches. I don't know if you guys keep up with the watches that Bond wears. The watch that he's wearing when he's laying in bed with Miss Caruso. Um, that is one of the first digital watches that was made, and it was very famous. Some of the most famous men in the world had that watch. It's a Pulsar, or like Pulsar something. I forget the actual like model number for it, but I mean some really famous people like Leonid Brezhnev, which is one of the premiers of the Soviet Union. He had the same watch. I mean, a lot of celebrities had that same one. I mean, you got to remember this is when digital watches were new and they were like exciting. Whereas
Yeah,
now, whenever I think of digital watches, I just think of cheap watches. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Just the fact that it's digital alone during that time makes me think that it was probably worth a small fortune.
yes. Yeah, I looked at the prices for them. They were pretty expensive.
They're probably expensive now,
Oh yeah,
like that
I looked.
particular one.
Yeah, I looked up to try to buy one like years ago, and I was like, "Whoa, that thing is
Do you re-
extremely expensive to be
do
a
you remember
super."
how much it was?
Not at all. I have no idea.
I'm just curious, but yeah, I imagine it was pretty high.
But and so we get a little bit of soft humor here with Bond's conquest being hid throughout the house from M, who it just shows up at Bond's house because of course we do not get an MI6 scene in this movie. We get them coming to Bond's house, and Bond's wearing his robe, which is monogrammed. Did y'all notice that?
yeah,
Yeah,
It's so Bond is basic white girl. Like, hey, I mean, guys, us living in the South, we see a lot of Southern, white women who's got, they have their initials monogrammed on towels and on all this, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they have their initials on their back glass on their car.
Yes,
Like,
like,
yeah,
well, here is Bond in 1973 doing it on his bathrobe.
he was a
Um,
pioneer.
he was a trendsetter, trailblazer.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
we get Miss Moneypenny, who's trying to hide Bond's conquest. But I mean, you would think Moneypenny would be trying to, because Moneypenny's in love with him and all that stuff. I mean, hey,
I didn't really get that here. I feel like
yeah, not
they,
at all. Like,
yeah, and I'm okay with that. Like,
yeah.
I still like the relationship and the dynamic,
Well,
but it's different. It's just
yeah,
it's a different relationship with this
it's
Bond.
not as flirtatious and sexy as it may have been in the earlier movies. But I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but Lois Maxwell, the woman who played Moneypenny, and Roger Moore were actually very good friends in real life. So maybe their real life relationship just determined how they, you know,
Yeah.
Hated it.
yeah. But one other thing that I want to bring up right here, and then I promise we can move on from this scene, is Bond's kitchen. Like it is so like it is like if somebody was like, come in this kitchen and make it literally the 1970s in a room, that kitchen is it. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
It
Like,
looks like the inside of a time capsule from the 1970s.
and
Like,
I love it. Like I love this. The whole counter is this big coffee machine, and Bond's
is that
doing
all
all
it
this
does?
stuff. And then M says, "Is that all it does?" That is like one of my favorite lines. Is that
you could have totally shot an episode of Brady Bunch in there and nobody would have noticed.
yes, exactly. Like,
That is a
uh,
very good point.
good job with that, Colton. I like that.
Yeah,
uh,
I
but
love the Brady Bunch.
before we move past this scene, there's a part where Bond is explaining the magnet watch to M, and he says something like it can manipulate the path of a bullet at long range. So Q says, and M says, "I'm willing to test that theory." I love that. That was so
like,
funny.
well, like, and he's referring to Bond. You like getting the
Taking a
spoon from him.
spoon. Yeah.
And it's like so you want to shoot me because I took a spoon from you? I mean, like,
Hey, I was listening to a review. I think it was Calvin Dyson. You've got to know who that is.
oh yeah,
And he was talking about Live and Let Die, and he brought up a good point. He was like, "It's a good thing M doesn't have a pacemaker."
pacemaker.
And
And
I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's very
like,
very convenient that he doesn't."
I'm so glad you brought this up, Caleb, because like I really like what Calvin did in that video because he like replayed the scene
Yep.
and then like it showed like M with like eyes were and it had like a scream in the background.
Hmm.
Calvin did pretty good on that one. Yeah,
I love his videos.
yeah, man. I've been watching Calvin for years. I can't say enough good things about him. But
Hmm.
Uh,
Colton, have you ever watched Calvin before?
You probably sent a video of his or two to me, but he's not to the forefront of my brain at this
I got
point.
you.
I will
But
say something about the spoon though. M got pretty mad over a spoon that was already James's.
yeah, it wasn't even his. Like,
M is just the top. He's got kind of a short fuse.
he's just
Yeah.
grumpy all the time. Like,
Yeah.
just
But it's part of his charm.
yeah. I mean, you wouldn't like him if he wasn't like that,
Hmm.
Classic.
But so we get Bond testing his new gadget on the lovely Italian woman,
Sheer magnetism.
sheer magnetism, darling, and we get Bond landing in New York with we see a young lady using some cards, some tarot cards. You guys have any experience with these cards?
So I did end up like finding you that tarot card book through our mutual friend, and I wanted to ask you if that tarot card book that you got is it from the same set of 007 cards they use in the film?
Yes, I think it must be. I wish I could find a set of those cards. That
That'd
would
be
be
awesome.
like awesome.
That's one thing I'm glad you brought up because I wanted to mention that. Like, are we supposed to not notice that they say
It says
007?
007 on it.
Well,
Yeah.
if you think about it, at the time on the televisions, that they were watching, you probably couldn't have seen that. Like you might have been able to see it in a theater,
Yeah.
but then again, you got to account for like film grain and everything else.
I don't know, man. And look, I know I didn't watch it in the 70s, obviously, but I remember watching it on a standard definition TV, sitting in the floor in my bedroom
Yeah.
and noticing that. But yeah, I don't think you're gonna or a casual viewer is gonna notice it on their first watch. So it's not a huge deal, but it's weird. It's just weird.
It is
very
weird.
So we get Bond in the taxi, and I don't know why I like this scene. I've always liked
I
this
love
scene.
this guy. He's my
Like,
or no, sorry, I'm thinking of a different
yeah,
taxi
you're talking about
driver.
the other taxi driver.
You know who I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
But it's just the way that, like, Whisper pulls up in the Pimp Mobile and kills Bond's taxi driver with a dart gun. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess guy starts driving kind of erratically because he's dead, and just Roger Moore saying, easy, Charlie, let's get there in one piece. You know what I mean? Just like,
It was hilarious.
I was just, but and we get Bond taking over the taxi in this scene. I mean, honestly, this scene right here is the most action that's going to happen for quite a while. We don't really get too much action for a minute. So we see this version of Felix Leiter, which is David Hedison. Is that his last name, Caleb?
I don't know. Let me look it up real quick.
I'm pretty sure I got it right there. And we will actually see him come back in another era, the Dalton era, and he will portray Felix Leiter in License to Kill.
And I will say I do like him as Felix. Like he might be one of my favorites so far.
He is definitely one of my favorites, and he's also the Felix Leiter of my childhood. I always, whenever I thought of Felix Leiter, I thought of this guy, either this dude or the guy in Goldfinger. Is who I always thought of as Felix Leiter.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, you were right, Jonathan. David Hedison. But what I was going to ask is, isn't this the last appearance of Felix for a while? Or am I wrong?
Until I think it's until The Living Daylights, isn't it?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
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 I guess it never really occurred to me until now that I'm rewatching all these in order. Felix is actually pretty prominent in these movies.
I would say he's more prominent in the Connery movies.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, you could say he's very prominent in Dalton's movies because he was in both of them. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, different actors, but I mean, he was in both of them. And
I don't really know exactly why they felt the need to exclude him for so long. Because I always it doesn't matter what actor plays him, really. They all do a great job. I always enjoy his inclusion.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm often looking for him whenever I'm watching a movie. Like, I'm like, where's Felix at? And I'm disappointed when he's not in a movie.
So here's my theory on why we do not see a lot of Felix Leiter in some of, because this is literally the only movie in Moore's run which Felix Leiter is here.
Right.
In some of Moore's movies, we get a big ally character. So, for instance, like in For Your Eyes Only, we get Columbo, the Greek smuggler, and we also get Luigi too in that same movie, the guy that dies in Bond's Lotus. If you've seen For Your Eyes Only,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the way I'm gonna put this is like a lot of Moore's movies has a lot of characters, and they already have like a designated ally character. Maybe that's why. That's the only reason I could say why we do not have our favorite CIA agent coming to help.
That would explain my question. Just they've already got enough supporting characters. No room for Felix.
Hey, but let me tell you, in my heart, there's always room for Felix.
Oh, of course.
Anyway,
speaking of For Your Eyes Only, For Your Eyes Only. The villain in that movie, I can't remember his name. Well, I just had it pulled up. I'll look it up, but real quick.
It's Aristotle Costatos.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to pronounce that anyway. So, he auditioned for Bond.
Yep.
And for this movie, I believe.
Oh, really? I've always heard that he had
Maybe
auditioned
not.
for it, but
I
I didn't know
it
what
was
movie it was for.
yeah, I just remember
Yeah.
reading that as I was doing research for this movie. So maybe I'm putting something together that's not there. But yeah, at some point he did audition, which I found interesting. It'd be kind of like Cillian Murphy playing Batman
Yeah.
to me.
So,
Well, so to that effect, I don't think Cillian Murphy would have played a bad Batman. So
I don't think so either. But it would just have been like it's just so far detached from what I'm used to. I can't imagine it.
yeah, well, you've seen his audition
Yeah,
tape as
yeah, that's what I was
Batman.
referring to.
Yeah. And I will say I have no clue who this Aristotle guy is. Like, I don't know what he looks like because I haven't seen that movie yet. So now you've given me something to look forward to with that movie. So
well, I'm sorry I spoiled some of the movie for you. Then
Oh yeah, you don't even have to watch it now, Colton. I mean, that's pretty
well,
much it.
well,
yeah,
dang.
I ruined it for you. Sorry,
Well,
Colton.
I've only seen Live and Let Die and 3/4 of The Man with the Golden Gun. So
So I want to talk about our other cab driver we like, the one that we probably all like more than poor Charlie.
oh yeah.
This guy, man, like, I mean, does he have a name? I just always refer to him as the African American cab driver in New York and later on New Orleans. Like, I mean, does he have a name?
I'm trying to think. I don't really
I don't think
recall.
he does. Just black cab driver.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna call him Cool Cabby because that guy's
that
smooth
I
as
like.
shit.
Yeah, I
He's
like
most
that
definitely
name.
cool.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be straight with you. One of my favorite things that in the whole movie, lines of dialogue. Actually, second thought, lines of dialogue in the whole series is when he says, "Man, for $20, I take you to a Ku Klux Klan cookout." You know, like just
It is so funny that he
just
says that. Like culturally and situationally, and just because cabbies probably need money anyway,
yeah.
it really hits the nail on the head for me. I was
I-
like, it's hilarious.
And also $20 was a lot of money back then.
Very true.
And I also like it whenever Bond's like, well, the guy says, "Where you headed?" And Bond says, "Uptown, I believe." And that the cab driver's like, "Yeah, you're headed into Harlem." Like,
Mm.
which, you got this like white as white can get British dude. Just, and that's kind of, go ahead. I'm sorry, Colton.
Well, no, since you're bringing that up, like I will say that the one kind of jarring thing about this movie is that like they kind of out spy James Bond
They do.
in this
By
section of
far.
the film. Like
Yes.
that's
Yes.
probably the only thing I don't really love about this movie is like they got the one up on Bond, which I don't think should happen very often, but I'll allow it in this movie because it's cool.
So I'm gonna say this about, and I'm kind of jumping the gun because we've not even really been introduced to Mr. Big yet, but I like I like that they're doing that because, like, in the novel, Mr. Big is literally like he's supposed to have spies and informants on all of the black population of the United States. I mean, like all of them. So I mean, this is kind of like very similar to the novel. Bond's just driving, just riding in the cab, and everybody's like, "Okay, there he goes, right there." And that one guy even says, it's like watching a cue ball, which I really like. Like,
Um.
That's
Yeah.
Caleb's line.
Yeah. I've got a whole 20-minute PowerPoint presentation on that line. We'll get to
You
that
better.
later.
and something else I want to say, not all these people are talking to each other because, like, one of them is the CIA agent, and some of these guys are also Mr. Big, so they're not all walkie-talkieing on to each other.
Right. They're not all on the same channel.
Yes, like
But the movie sells it like it is. I was
yes,
so confused, and it really sells that like plot twist moment. I really liked it.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go ahead and say this about this movie, and I got to hand it to the filmmakers on this one. I mean, there's no easy way to say this. Literally, all the villains in this movie are black. That's just it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think that the filmmakers do a really good job at it because this movie, I think the villains in this movie are well, first thing, the henchmen in this movie, I think, are some of the strongest henchmen we get of the whole series.
Yeah.
And also, I think the villains in this movie are smarter than a lot of the villains we get in some of the other ones.
Yeah, well, Colton's already brought up the fact that they outspy Bond.
Yes. Yeah, like they already know what's going down. And that also goes back to the book. In the book, it was like that too. It was, but one thing that I read was when I watched a clip of a guy talking about, just the racial kind of just scene in this movie. Everybody knows in a Bond movie, Bond's gonna win and the villain's gonna be beat.
Yeah.
So obviously in this movie, when the villains, are black, it's obvious they're gonna win. But I mean, it's because they're villains in a Bond movie. There's no big racial, statement being made. It's just it is what it is. Kind of like in You Only Live Twice, we get a lot of Japanese, Bond villains.
Yeah,
so.
sure.
And I don't know. I just always think. I mean, of course, with me, it's not a big deal with me. But I mean, I can imagine some people watching this movie now, having never seen Live and Let Die, might get other ideas about it. Which I mean, I don't think it's doing anything bad at all.
No.
Go ahead, Caleb. I'm sorry.
Honestly, the only bit of racism that I picked up on was the sheriff, J.W. Pepper.
Well, yeah,
but it was a punchline.
Yeah. Well, I think we're supposed to think he's an idiot because he's
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all that's handled.
Yeah.
Great.
I do too. So Bond walks into this Filet of Soul in Harlem, a black bar in Harlem, and just the fish out of water feeling that it has,
very fish out of water.
I mean, everybody's looking at him like, what the hell is going on? And I don't know if you guys drink whiskey, but if you order whiskey without any ice, that's called neat. Bond, whenever he orders his bourbon and water, he says, "Tell him neat, would you?" And the guy says, "What?" And Bond says, "No ice." And the guy says, "That's extra, man. Like, gonna charge you."
Is that really extra?
I just always figured that
because it's more liquor.
Oh, okay. I was joking, but yeah, now that makes sense. So,
but so we get to see Bond's nasty turn in the booth, and we are introduced to a few of the people that will be in the movie for the rest of the film. We're introduced to Solitaire, played by Jane Seymour, and very quickly, what do you guys think about her?
So I'm just gonna I'm not even gonna bury the lead here. Love her.
Yep.
Probably at this point, she's probably my favorite Bond girl so far.
Oh wow!
Like so far, I don't know what it is about her. I dig it, and her acting's pretty good, and I like how we're introduced to her because she's cool and mysterious. So I like her.
Caleb, what do you got to say about that, my boy?
Oh, just all around, generally. Yeah, I like her. I like her story. I guess Bond's sort of motivated to save her from the villains. I like that. I think that's a nice touch and adds to the story. But I've got an interesting fact about Jane Seymour. So there's a dentist here. I'm not going to give away his name. That is maybe. Wait, is she still? Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah,
gotta be.
She's actually really.
So I'll say that
now.
they are
still
sorry,
still hot.
Okay, yeah, cool. But they're good friends, and she has been to our area,
really
on multiple occasions and visited. And I just thought, and Jonathan, you bring this up at least once in an episode. We're from a small little, map dot, so that blows my mind. I don't know why.
Same.
Yeah, but
that's amazing, Caleb.
Yeah.
We need to talk to this dentist, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
Yeah, we need to. Man, that would be
I'll
wild.
tell y'all after the show who it is. I just
Yeah.
don't want
I
to,
understand.
yeah.
Well, while you're kind of on the subject, like before she passed, like the Queen of England actually owned some river bottom land down here, like farmland in the bottoms.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like it's like right across the road from it's literally right across the river from Shiloh National Military Park.
Wow.
That is insane.
I don't know if her family still owns it, and John, your dad, might be able to disprove it, but that's what I was told. So
Okay.
Speaking of dads, I actually called my dad and confirmed that story that I just told because I've already said how stupid I was as a kid, so I believed anything. And I thought that might have been one of those things where he was like pulling my leg. So I called. I was like, "Hey, that whole thing about Jane Seymour and the dentist. That's you made that up, right? No, no, that's real.
that's so crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you think about just like what do you think about T He? He's the first real besides Whisper and the Pitmobile earlier, T He is the first kind of big villain we see in the movie. What do you think about old T He?
Man, he looks like he could be Michael Clark Duncan's father. Honestly, like they look really similar. I mean, I hope you guys don't take anything out of that. Like, I'm
That's
not trying
so
to
racist.
like literally like their build and their facial structure. Like he looks like.
I was joking. It's not. No,
Well,
I
mean,
I get where you're coming from.
like I figured you were kidding. I didn't think you went any other way. I was
Okay.
just like, just in similarity alone. Like I was like, I actually Googled to see if it was his dad because it would have been cool if it was his dad, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought he looks like my uncle kind of too. I mean, listeners don't know who my uncle is, but he looks a lot like Brody's dad.
T He is one of my favorite henchmen. I mean, I think he's very underrated. I never hear him being talked about. I mean, I hear people bring up Nick Nack, and they don't bring up T He. Like, I mean, Nick Nack.
Spoilers.
I don't think.
Absolutely love Nick Nack.
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
think
I love Nick Nack too, but I mean, T He's badass. Like,
yeah,
He
I
is
agree.
badass.
And I was just thinking, I don't think he was in Goldeneye, was he? I don't think he was a playable character.
who?
Teehee.
No, T He wasn't.
Yeah,
Baron Samedi was.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what kind of made me think about that. But and as tropey as the claw is now, back then that was super cool, and
Yeah.
now, like as I was watching it here a couple nights ago, it was still badass to me. I love
Man,
that.
I love the claw.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
And the whole backstory about how he lost his arm and stuff, that's cool too.
yeah. I love that backstory. He said one day that thing took my whole arm. Remember that?
Yeah.
But yeah, like yeah, T He, one of my favorites. Love him. And we also get to see Mr. Big, who there's just so many memorable lines of dialogue in this movie. So Mr. Big walks out and he turns around and he's talking to some guys in a room and he says something like, "Yeah, you go down there and clean them up, or I'm gonna come down there and clean you up."
Mhm.
I just love some of the dialogue in this movie. It's just great.
It's goofy.
Yeah,
He also
Very
looks,
70s.
yeah.
That's what I tell my stepkids. Like whenever my stepdaughter, she's her room's not clean. I say, "You need to go in there and clean that room up, or I'm gonna come in there and clean." You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
like also to touch on like Mr. Big's looks or whatever, he looks really menacing or whatever. So
Yeah.
I thought he was pretty cool.
That is one of my little gripes with this movie, which I don't have a lot of, but like I just wish he got more screen time. I loved him as a well, I guess you consider. I mean, we'll find out later about that, but like I just wish he would have got more screen time. That's all.
yeah.
I think I mean I'm probably gonna sound dumb, but I think that's to sell him being ominous about his character to make him seem more big and powerful. Like,
Well, I was
before the
yeah,
reveal.
I get that too, but I was actually talking about, you know, uh the guy under the mask too.
Kananga?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was confused.
Oh no,
You good?
no, that was a good point.
So we get a little very quick action scene of Bond, just using the environment to beat these two goons up, and then we're met with another ally, Harold Strutter, which is the guy that made the cue ball comment earlier on the walkie-talkie. And he's a CIA agent, and he knows our boy Felix Leiter, and even gives Bond a genuine Felix Leiter, which is one of my favorite little
Mine
line.
too.
Another one of my lines. I love that.
It was smooth. It was really smooth. I liked it.
So
I like Stutter. Or I like Strutter. Sorry. Uh he's Black Felix before Black Felix, I guess.
yes,
And like I
I
really
mean,
liked him.
man, Strutter is another character. Like, I don't think he gets enough scenes in this movie. I like the actor. I mean, I like the character he's playing, but he's in just a few scenes and then that's it. Like, I mean, we'll see him later on in New Orleans later on in the movie, but I mean, yeah, he's just kind of underused,
I
unfortunately.
think if sorry, Caleb. I think if we had got like more beat cop stuff with Bond in this movie, I would rather have seen Strutter with him. Like I think it would have gave the film a more interesting dynamic. Like he could have gave Bond more insight to the African side of things in the film.
Yeah,
I would have liked that. I think.
yeah, like maybe if we stayed in New York, especially Harlem in that area more. I mean,
Yeah.
I could definitely see in the book, Bond and Felix, because Strutter's not in the book, but in the book it's Bond and Felix, and they're going to like all these nightclubs in Harlem,
Yeah.
doing all this stuff. By the way, I wanted to say is also in the book,
Okay, cool.
and he is nothing like the He in the movie.
No claw.
No, He in the book, spoiler alert, is killed like a few pages after he's introduced.
No kidding.
But
Probably why I didn't remember him from the
Wow.
book.
movie is, what'd you say?
Probably why I didn't remember him from the book. I
Um,
remember Mr. Big though. Mr. Big is like crazy ominous in the book. Like he's
Yes.
a good villain. I like him.
a great villain, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we fast forward to the island of San Monique, which I'm guessing I'm figuring this is supposed to be Haiti or Jamaica, one of the two. I'm guessing Haiti is
Yeah.
probably what we're supposed to be based on. And yet another line, and then I just said this line to my wife last night. Whenever Bond goes into this hotel, you know, he goes up to the receptionist, and he's like, my name is Bond, James Bond, and this guy's like, yeah, Mr. Bond. Yeah, Mrs. Bond is expecting you, and Roger Moore does, Mrs. Bond, like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, yeah, she wanted something real private out there, Bungalow 12, and of course Bond's like, well, obviously something's up. So he goes out there, and so we're introduced to Mrs. Bond, Rosie Carver. What do y'all think about her?
I think the stunt double is clearly a man, like for sure when he flips her. Like that is the most jarring transition for a stunt scene. It's so funny. And then they dub over her scream too. Like
I didn't notice that.
yeah.
I didn't notice it either.
Huh.
Oh, I mean,
Y'all didn't notice the stunt double or the scream?
No. Yeah, that kind of stuck out to me. I just didn't notice the dubbing.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, so you don't maybe dubbing's not the right word. Like because she's not in the scene, like she does the sound for the flip or whatever. So like it doesn't sound
I
great.
got you.
Yeah, I got you. That's still considered dubbing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
dubbed
not
over.
I'm not good at like technical lingo, I guess. My bad.
You're good. I do want to say this about just some of the shenanigans that are going on at this hotel. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. The next time my wife and I go on vacation, we're going to this hotel. I mean, all this crazy stuff going on. We got Baron Samedi out there. like doing rituals and people blowing fire, and that one dude that's walking around like a I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you know
Bro, what?
you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. What is he
Like,
doing?
Hey,
I I
you want
didn't
to
know
know?
what that was whenever I was like 8 years old, and I still have no idea what that's supposed to be.
You want to know something funny? I could do that when I was a kid.
What?
You want to try it now?
Nope,
All right.
I do not. Because I don't want to be disabled for 2 weeks. I'll just say this real quick before we move on. You know what this scene's missing?
What?
The guy from Doctor No.
The crazy eyed guy?
Yep,
Yeah.
Oh
he would
yeah,
be the icing on the cake.
man. They should have
That
brought that. He should have been a returning character.
Yeah, like a little Easter egg maybe in the
Yeah,
background for
just every time they go to like a
fans.
club,
Yeah, yeah,
he's just throwing it down on the dance floor.
kind of
that
like the. Go ahead.
that and the 007 theme is what this scene needed.
And the reoccurring drunk man.
Yeah, that's what I was
Oh,
gonna
yep.
say. It kind of like that. The guy from Doctor No can kind of be like the reoccurring pigeon and the reoccurring drunk.
Um,
Oh, I do
so
want to bring up one thing we haven't touched on yet. He's not wearing them in this scene. I hate Bond's driving gloves.
Oh yeah,
He's not even driving. Like, why is he wearing driving gloves? And they might just be regular leather gloves.
no, they look like driving gloves to me.
Yeah.
well,
Like,
I guess this is where this very nitpicky detail is going to be where we split the blanket, because I happen to love Bond decked out in his gloves. I think he looks like a badass in them.
I
I,
think it makes him seem too posh. Like he's
Really?
oh,
Yeah.
hey, that's something that I did want to say. I was gonna wait until we were discussing Roger Moore a little more, and I might have just missed my opportunity there at the beginning. But I'll say like, hey, I do like Roger Moore's um, posh sort of way of playing the part. I appreciate that he's not doing a Sean Connery impression.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sometimes he is too posh.
Yes.
It sometimes it kind of takes away from a suspenseful scene because he just plays it so cool, and it's like, well, he's clearly not worried. Why should
Yeah.
I be?
And I want to add something that I was just thinking about earlier at work today. Um, and you don't really see it too much in this movie. Of course, we always get, you know, sexual references and all that stuff in Bond movies, but man, just this movie compared to some of Moore's latter movies, I mean, this is pretty tame compared to say like A View to a Kill, where I swear every other word coming out of his mouth is some sort of like, you know, like
innuendo.
so, yeah. That's what I was looking for. Some sexual innuendo. Yes, like I mean, and Colton, I know you haven't seen that movie, but I want you to be on the lookout when you watch A View to a Kill and just how like dirty minded Roger Moore is in that movie.
I think
I'll just
that's
watch.
something that I think that's something that comes with age.
It's just like, and like I never realized this until one time my wife and I were watching it, and I mean, he was just going to town on, just all those innuendos, and my wife said something about it and made me think about it, and
Mhm.
I was, I guess, comparing and contrasting Moore's early movies and his latter movies earlier today, and I was like, yeah, that is a little bit of difference. But
Sounds like
Yeah,
we should.
I can't speak to that too much, but I will say this: they definitely sort of learn how to write for him better
yeah,
in the later movies. With that being said, I like Roger Moore's always ranked pretty low for me as a Bond, but I just it's hard not to like him.
yeah,
You know, he's just so
He's pretty
he's
likable.
just what's that?
He's pretty likable. You're right.
He's very likable, and he's just so laid back. Like
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like with Roger Moore, it's kind of like put the movie on. You're gonna watch. You're gonna have a little adventure. That's the way I've always
Yeah,
viewed the Roger Moore movies. Like there's gonna be some goofy stuff, and there's gonna be some funny stuff, and there's gonna be some action, and it's just gonna be you're just along for the ride. It never. I mean, I would say this movie, and maybe there's another movie of his, For Your Eyes Only, that I think take themselves somewhat seriously. But other than that, I don't think a lot of his movies do take themselves too seriously.
All right. I'm prepared now.
Oh, okay, I got you. So just in this scene, I do like this is kind of like Roger Moore's version of the Dr. No scene when Bond is at his, his hotel room. This is like about as closest to that we get in the Moore era.
But
He's
better.
got his. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
But better. Because like it's a real snake, if I'm not mistaken, though it's not venomous.
Well, I wasn't even referring to that. I was talking about Bond, like
Looking for
checking the room
bugs.
for bugs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's
No,
got his
it's very
spy
similar
kit.
to that too. Yeah. You're
Is
right.
that a
My bad.
shaving kit?
Yes.
Okay, that's really cool.
And what was he doing at the window? He was like tap. Like I never understood what. This is like incredibly like. I guess I mean not personal in the fact that it's like really personal to me, but it's like a story from my childhood. I remember asking my dad. I mean, I was a little boy. I was
Hmm.
like, "What is Bond doing right there?" And my dad told me. He said he's sending secret messages to Felix Leiter. That is my dad said that. I
Works for
remember
me.
hearing that. That was like probably 2003. Whenever my dad said that, I can remember it. Like,
That sounds exactly like something my dad would say. He's just like, he's sending messages to Felix. Shut up.
yeah.
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
But
No, my dad was not abusive, and he was a very loving father.
oh, that's same with mine. My dad wasn't abusive at all. Very loving father too. Hey,
You
Colton.
guys were lucky then.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Not
Colton,
kidding.
you got beat the hell out of when you was a kid, didn't you?
A couple times, but my dad loves me. So
Well, it was usually my mom beating the hell out of me or my grandma or something. But moving on from
No, no, let's
childhood.
let's keep talking about childhood trauma. So,
So one thing I want to bring up, and whenever I was a kid, this whole the aerosol can that blew my mind. Whenever I was a kid, I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
it's still cool as shit.
Yes, it
Like I'm not a
is.
kid. I saw it as an adult. Cool as shit.
I'm
Uh,
willing to bet that probably influenced a lot of backyard fires when I was a kid.
hey, and rightly so, rightly so.
Yeah, but that just Bond doing that is a very Bond thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a really cool way to handle a pest.
Yeah, I mean that snake coming up, and Bond is smoking like the world's longest cigar. I
Dude,
mean, it's
those cigars are like a foot long. I
yes,
thought it was a
like
Toblerone at first. It's
It
like
does look like it's all around.
a big Tootsie Roll, like one of those you
yeah, one
know,
of those big ones.
yeah, like the joke. They're very long.
Yeah,
No way he can finish one of those in one sitting.
The book James Bond could
Yeah, I'm sure Ian Fleming could.
yeah.
probably.
Also, I want to say this: in Roger Moore's contract for the Bond movies, it was actually wrote in there that he had to have like they had to furnish cigars for him.
Smart.
And this is also something that makes that see Roger Moore didn't want to just be Connery. He wanted to
Right.
have his own thing. So I don't, and this is very small things, but instead of ordering a vodka martini, which he does not in this movie, he orders whiskey instead.
Yeah.
And he does not smoke cigarettes, he smokes cigars.
Hmm.
Unlike Connery's Bond, who drank martinis and smoked cigarettes.
Yeah, I picked up on the cigar thing. Like I think it was something I was like able to sniff out for myself because I also knew the whole contract thing, but I didn't notice that about the drink.
He
Well,
only
That's
orders
news to
one
me.
drink in the movie, right?
He orders two. He orders
Oh, you're right. You're right. My bad.
he goes to two different filet of soles and he orders whiskey or bourbon and water every time he goes. So
And I don't think he gets either one.
he don't, does he?
Yeah,
The man
terrible
can't even drink.
service.
That service sucks in those places, doesn't
Awful.
it? But
You have something closer to the stage.
Yeah.
so we get Rosie being freaked out by the hat on the bed. And later on, we see Bond getting a hint with his morning orange juice. And does anybody remember what the hint was?
I don't.
Okay, I guess you don't.
I,
Well,
I was gonna say I don't remember what the card was.
okay, so
I,
you
I
do.
remember what it meant.
I can't remember what card it was either, to be honest with you. But Bond uses that card, and I guess we're supposed to think that Solitaire sent it
I guess it is really never talked about. Like even when Bond and Solitaire are together, like I feel like that's something that I would have brought up. Like, hey, did you send me a card?
Did you send me that card? Like, uh, I do feel like maybe whenever they were doing some of these scenes, I feel like some maybe they meant to go back and kind of like justify a scene, but they just forgot and just were just like to hell with it. It'll be all right. Like,
Nobody will ever notice.
Well,
yeah,
there's another example of that I'll touch on later. John, you might know what I'm talking about, but yeah, there might be some deleted footage out there
yeah.
somewhere that fleshes that out.
So
But
I'm gonna bring this up while we're here. Bond going in the tarot shop is really subtle. I didn't notice it the first. I saw the tarot shop. I didn't get what he was doing the first time, but like I totally got it. Like whenever we got to the scene pertaining to it.
so what about Coral Jr.?
I love him, dude.
I
I
love
was so
Coral Jr.
happy.
too.
Yep, yep. They kind of put the cart in front of the horse and Doctor No. So this Coral Jr. was their way of writing themselves out of that.
Originally, the book "Live and Let Die"
Come out
was the
before.
first time we met Coral.
Mm,
Uh, Unfortunately, they've already killed Coral off in the movie
mm.
series, but his son is here, and well, and I'm going to say this in my own personal life, the phrase that Bond uses to introduce Rosie Carver to Quarrel Jr., he says, "This is the man that shares my hairbrush." I use that phrase so much, and I know that no one ever knows what I'm talking about whenever I say it. And I know people probably think I'm really weird for saying that, but I'll be introducing somebody. I'll be like, "Yeah, this is the guy that shares the hairbrush with me, or shares my hairbrush."
Yeah.
So
You know,
I don't really get the term other than him saying like they're close.
yeah,
Like
just
That's all. Yeah. But
okay,
that's all it
man,
is. But
I'm like you, Jonathan. I use that expression a lot. But
good.
up until a couple nights ago, when I watched this again, I realized I've been saying it wrong this whole time. I've been saying toothbrush.
Caleb.
Yeah,
People probably thought she was weird as hell for saying
I'm kidding,
that.
dude. I did not say that.
Okay,
Well,
man. You should never corrected yourself. You should have just kept that going. I would have.
Maybe if this wasn't on the internet.
I got you. But so anyway,
so
go ahead.
small
Sorry.
mention to the Quarrel thing. I would like to shout out Raymond Benson's book I read this week. Was it Zero? Was the name of it that I read?
Zero
John?
minus 10.
0-10. Man, Benson shouts out Quarrel's death in that book. I thought it was a really subtle addition, and I liked it. So
Man,
I
hey,
love that book. Caleb, you need to read it.
Is this a Bond, like a post Fleming Bond novel?
Yes,
yes,
it was
Okay.
phenomenal.
I'll
it's
have
one of
to.
the best.
Yeah,
I'll have
I
to
like
write
it.
that down.
Like, I'm gonna be straight with you guys. All of the Benson books are good. I'm kind of a Benson fanboy. I've met him one time actually.
Man.
I'm just kidding. I know I told you guys that story on a earlier podcast, but yeah, I'm a big fan of all of Benson's books. I do think that, honest to goodness, him and Anthony Horowitz, the guy that just wrote 3 Bond books in the past few years, I'd say they're probably the best of the continuation authors.
Cool.
Well, uh, I have a more significant appreciation of you meeting him because he writes pretty damn good,
Yeah,
and
he's awesome.
you got me looking
And
forward to more things to come. So
and
sorry
that
to jump
and
back and
just
forth.
well, yeah, I'm gonna stay on this for just 1 second, then we'll get back to the movie. 0-10 was literally his first novel.
Yeah, like
Huh.
Not
his first novel
not first
ever.
Bond novel. I mean first novel.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously,
That is
Yes.
that's a pretty daunting task to take on for your first book.
Yes. But
and there's a ton of globetrotting in there, and like the political like technicality in that book is like really intense. So it's surprising that that's his first novel.
Are their writing styles
yeah,
pretty
it's a
similar to Fleming? Or,
yeah, in a way, but I mean I feel like Benson's got his own way of writing,
hmm.
you know.
The way I perceived it, it was like so you guys probably never read The Wheel of Time, but like the original Wheel of Time author died and was taken over by Brandon Sanderson. That's an apt comparison. Then it's like that. Like it's like I would say it's like Fleming plus from my perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like he adds to it really good, if that makes sense.
I just know a lot of
And-
people gripe about it's been said that Fleming he kind of harps on some smaller details
yeah.
a little too much. I never minded that. Like I always enjoyed like the Bond books that I read. So I guess that's why I was asking.
No,
I like
go ahead. I'm sorry, Colton. Go ahead.
I really like when authors are in depth. It helps you paint a mental image of what you're reading better. Like the only
Yes.
person I don't like that does that is probably Tolkien.
Dude, I was about to yes. Like, okay, I don't mind it if it's consistent. Like, don't spend this entire chapter telling me what this mountain looks like,
Yeah.
and then just gloss over the battle in 2 sentences.
And then spend 10 weeks with Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, so those books are a little hard to read sometimes.
Yes. I will say yes.
Colton, I want to add about the Wheel of Time comment you said.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys even know this. Colton, I think you probably do, but me being an adult education teacher, a lot of my teaching is actually done in jails.
Yeah.
So I teach.
I didn't know that, but I can understand that.
So I teach a few different jail classes. One of my inmates is really big into the Wheel of Time series. He actually just got all of the books in that series. He'd been talking about them, and he
Man,
got them all. And
those books are expensive on the street. So
Yeah.
if he's got them in jail or prison or whatever, like I'd like to know what he did.
but yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to add that. I mean, getting back to the movie, we got Bond and Rosie having a little picnic, doing a little, horizontal tango.
Hanky panky.
Yeah, and I really like this. What Bond says, that he points the gun at her, and she says, "Oh, you wouldn't do that, not after what we just done." And Bond says, "Well, I certainly wouldn't have done it before." Just being like, I'm gonna get what I want out of you. Like
Man,
it's pretty
I
rough.
I wasn't surprised. I was just surprised that they made such a blatant call out to it.
Yes.
I can see that line fitting Connery a little better. It still works for me, but that's kind of what I meant earlier about how they kind of learned to write for Roger better later on. That's really another small gripe that I have. That like some of the love scenes and like some of the dialogue and stuff like surrounding that, it's just a little clunky. It's not bad, but yeah, if it just seemed weird coming from Roger.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. In the next movie, I think the next movie they try to play Bond. I mean, they try to play Roger Moore like he's Sean Connery in The Man with the Golden Gun, and we'll talk about it in that movie. But I think that this movie does a better job of it than The Man with the Golden Gun does. But I still think Live and Let Die. They didn't know how to have Roger Moore as Bond. They because Connery was the one that was all slapping girls and at times having them get killed, like whenever he you know moved Fiona Volpe and let her get killed during the dance in Thunderball.
Yeah.
But sorry if I'm interrupting, John. You can finish or whatever. I'm sorry.
Pretty good. Good.
What I was gonna say is like after watching this one and the next one, I really feel like they just have more portray not a caricature of Bond, but like you're watching the character of Bond, not really Moore's version of Bond yet.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
Completely agree, Colton. That was amazing.
Mm.
That's a good way to put it. I feel like Moore didn't know just exactly how to fully embrace his version of Bond in this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry to get off on a tangent there, guys. Let's move on. Of course we see our girl Rosie. She ends up getting killed, which And this is gonna sound bad, but Rosie, I not a big fan of her at all.
She wasn't a great actress, I don't think.
Look, I wasn't the biggest fan of her, but I don't think she deserved to die.
No,
No.
no,
Like,
she was just a naive, dumb girl that was in way too over her head in this
yeah,
situation.
I don't know. I felt kind of bad for her.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
that
don't know.
flipping scarecrow that with the gun in its mouth, and
It only has one round apparently.
yeah, it's a single. I think Calvin Dawson said something like, it's one of those single shot scarecrows."
Oh, hey, real quick, speaking of guns, when we're still on the boat, um, Rosie points the revolver
Yeah.
at Coral, and he said something like, "You might have even shot me if you turned the safety catch off." Revolvers don't have safety
Yeah, it's a
catches.
revolver. I mean, like,
Yeah. Well, I think a modern revolver might have like an internal safety, or maybe it might have one in the trigger, but that revolver did not have safety.
Colton, you got anything to say about that? I know you like guns.
Man, I ain't got really anything to say about it other than the fact that like the scene makes you think her character is super smart for a second, and then you realize she's just dumb as shit.
Yeah, poor old
Yeah,
Rosie.
actually, if you hadn't seen Doctor No and just didn't know about Coral, then yeah, you would have really thought like she was on to something.
Yeah.
Well,
she was also
that and the fact that like you don't find out, like he doesn't say Coral's name until after like she tries to kill him.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, because I was thinking he said it as they were getting on the boat.
no, all he says is this one
The-
seems eager, and then
Yeah.
I think he kicks him or something.
Yeah. So
what about the clothes Bond is wearing? That denim like two-piece like jacket and jeans. Like
I guess he got his luggage mixed up because that seems like
that is
that seems like the suitcase that was supposed to go with him to New Orleans.
Speaking of
Yes.
Bond's clothes, I love some of his clothes in this movie. But man, when he comes in hang gliding and like he lands, he takes that ascot off.
Yep.
He rips his breakaway pants off and then he flips his jacket inside out. That's like up there with Connery taking the wetsuit off and revealing the white tux.
pure Bond is
Yeah.
what that scene
Yeah,
is called.
it's sex.
I
Like,
was-
yes.
I was gonna make that comparison as well. Yeah, I love
Oh.
that.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
Caleb. Like,
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I'm glad you noticed it.
Well, at least we're like on the same wavelength.
Mhm.
So
One more thought on Rosie Carver, and then we will move on. She had a Playboy shooting as well. So if anybody ever wanted to see Rosie Carver,
well, she's attractive. Like
yeah.
she's got a really good looking body. I just didn't
it just wasn't too good in the movie. I mean,
no.
I'll say one more thing about her. I really got what is the CIA agent's name in No Time to Die? Is it Pamela? Is that her name?
yeah. Hold up, Paloma.
Paloma. Okay, I kind of got Paloma vibes from her when we first get introduced to her. But it's they have different things going
Like,
on. So
Are you talking about Paloma's her undercover character?
Just how ditzy she is.
Yeah,
Wow.
like she's a CIA agent, and she even Rosie even says, "You're my second mission," which is very similar to what Paloma says. I think it was her first mission.
You know, I've never made that comparison, Caleb. That is, that's good looking out on your part there.
Yeah, but like I said, they definitely there's some contrast there.
Yeah.
So I think I was getting Paloma's character mixed up with somebody else's character. So
who's you think of?
Paloma was
Anna de Armas.
Anna de Armas.
Anna de Armas. Ooh,
Yeah.
I love Anna de Armas, by the way. So
She's the best part of that movie.
yeah, definitely the best part of that movie, like hands down. No, I thought it was somebody else, so we're just gonna act like I didn't say anything. Well, thank you.
So we're on to our next scene, the hang gliding, and like Colton, you already said, it's great. So Bond's up there hang glide. I just like that he's up in the hang glider or on the hang glider, whatever you want to say, and he's just up there smoking a cigar, just chilling, And I just think that's I just think that's so Bond, He's he's just chilling, hanging out, like literally hanging out, not worried at all that he's up in the air? You know,
That
and
that sort of speaks to my point from earlier, how well
yeah,
Roger Moore just is playing it cool 100%
yes.
of the time.
Nothing phases that man.
And then Colton, you've already put this scene out so good. I feel like I don't even need to talk about it. You know, he takes, changes his clothes up real quick, and
Yeah.
then goes into the house of, as Quarrel says, the Kananga woman, meaning Solitaire.
I will say that I totally love that, like, him and Quarrel pull up in that boat and we're like sitting here looking at Ko Perico, you know?
Yeah. That they go do a heist, you know?
Yeah. So I just had to like put that out there because, man, it looks exactly like the. I don't know if there's another Bond movie that looks like that island, but I mean, it looks like Ko Perico.
So what about the meeting Solitaire, and Bond's playing around with the cards, and Solitaire tells him, that's blasphemy what you're doing. And then Bond, he says, pick a card. So then we have Bond literally stack the deck here. And I guess he just went and bought every lover's tarot card that he could find.
Man, he probably had to just buy multiple decks.
Yes.
And I don't know how many cards are in a tarot deck, but I would imagine like 50 something, like at least. So he bought like 50 individual tarot cards.
No, he didn't. The taxpayers did.
Yeah, the United Kingdom taxpayers did.
That was right. On MI6's dime.
You're right. But like,
what is this charge? 52 decks of cards? But what are you doing? So you're having Q repair your watch, and you're just going to the Walmart and buying, these decks of cards for no reason.
It's like, I did use the cards to get into Solitaire's pants.
Like that's the whole
this M would not have been on board with that at all.
So the whole point of this scene, I take, like, he tries to get a little information, but like really the whole point of the scene is to have sex with her.
Yes.
Like
it's kind of,
it goes to show you the lengths that Bond will go to like sate his insatiable appetite for women, especially since he already knew he was going to sleep with Rosie. Mm-hmm. So like he literally just slept with Rosie like 40 minutes ago. She dies, and then like
on to the next one, lads.
Sleep with Solitaire. Like, he doesn't took a bath.
He doesn't even mourn. He's just all right. Who's next?
And
one more thing, John. Like, so she says to him, she says to him that, well, by the way, she's a virgin. So like Bond's planning on taking her virginity. Like, I assume he knows that. He might not, but she says that, I don't know. I guess I lost it. I'm sorry. You guys go ahead. I'll find it in my notes.
Continue looking, because I was going to say, this is one of those scenes where it's just it's kind of uncomfortable. Like, even in the context of what Colton just laid out pretty much, but Roger Moore he's just too nice to be doing this sort of stuff, man.
I feel that.
Like, yeah.
So, like, to that detriment, like, I think he tries to make his Bond seem like he feels bad a little bit, because he does try to tell her that he cheated. He stacked the deck.
And he is a little reluctant taking his shirt off there when she says something about is there time for another lesson or something like that, and he goes, yeah,
he says no sense in going off
half cocked. Yep.
So bad.
So all right, so I'm gonna add this. Colton, he does admit I might have stacked the deck in my favor, but she pretty much even says, well, it was going to happen either way, Yeah. Because they were, and remember earlier,
it was faded.
The lover's card.
Yeah.
So she already knew, okay, well, I'm going to end up doing this. I
would like to say that he says you knew the answer before it was given. He said, strangely enough, somehow so did I, which I think is messed up.
Yeah.
And then after that, the instrumental way that they use the theme in like a loving way just makes the whole thing even weirder. And I'm done. I'm not gonna say anything else.
I agree on all points of that, Colton.
Yeah, if that's the worst this movie does,
I loved it. It's just
but it is a little hard to watch.
yeah.
Well, I mean, look at it like this, guys. As conniving and kind of just, I mean, kind of just underhanded that this was, guys. We saw Sean Connery force himself onto two women in Goldfinger and then in Thunderball.
No. Yes, I completely agree, and that's why I could totally see Sean doing this. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, Sean would have probably already just smacked her. He wouldn't.
He probably just knocked her unconscious and has way with her.
No, maybe I'm going a little bit too far with that, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. I mean, like, I do feel like we've seen Bond do worse things to women than this.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, not that this is fine, but I mean, I think it's
Like
got darker.
She's clearly into him anyway.
Yeah, it was definitely consensual.
Yeah,
but he just manipulated her.
Yep. So, Bond and Solitaire, they then the next morning they leave and they're walking around and they run into the guy playing the flute, and he says, "It's going to be a beautiful day." What'd y'all think about all that? Just kind of weird,
This is the part of the movie where I started getting major Scooby Doo vibes.
no,
seriously.
You're right, Caleb.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's just what I got.
And he has his little flute or recorder or whatever that is. He opens it up, and he's like, "They're heading for the hill."
Everything in this movie is a communication device.
Yes, for really, like, I mean, lighters, recorders,
shoebox phones.
The snake in the condo bungalow thing, it was a recording device.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, did I miss something?
Rosie's wig. It was a recording device.
It could have been.
But anyway, so then we see Bond and Solitaire. They keep on walking, and all of a sudden we see what Kananga is hiding, which is poppy fields. And of course, poppies we know. They make that awesome poppy seed chicken we used to eat whenever we were in elementary school.
I was gonna make that joke.
Oh, well, go ahead, Caleb. Go ahead. I'll take it back. Go ahead.
Well, you gotta set me up. You gotta be
all right. So
poppies is used for, and then okay.
So poppies are used for
poppy seed chicken.
Opium.
So of course we know we got all this drugs going on. So, but we still don't know what Mr. Big or Kananga is going to do with all these drugs. I want to take a moment and say something real quick. This is more of the history teacher coming out in me, but I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but I'm this guy. But there was a dictator in Haiti during the Cold War. His name, they called him Papa Doc. Have you guys ever heard of him?
No,
I've never heard of that. I have heard of a rapper that goes by the name Papa Doc.
So
I haven't heard of that one either.
So this dictator, of course, he had a, like, his full name. I don't know what it is right offhand, but everyone referred to him as Papa Doc. He was a dictator of Haiti, and he also he utilized voodoo into his image to basically to send kind of scare people away from rebelling or not doing what he pleased, what he wanted. I'm 99% sure that Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, never mind Cubby Broccoli, because I think this was at the point where Harry Saltzman wasn't doing. I don't think Harry Saltzman did Live and Let Die with Broccoli, did he? Or
I don't know, man. I'm glad.
I think they had made it to the point where, I think they pissed each other off, and they were just like, one was doing one movie, then the other one would do the next movie. And I think The Man with the Golden Gun is the last one Saltzman had anything to do with.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of glad you brought that up anyway, because I forgot all about that whole thing. But yeah, sorry.
Well, I mean, there's only so much we can cover in these. Even though I think our videos do get long sometimes, but there's a lot we can't cover.
No, I wasn't saying I was wanting to touch on it here, but that is sort of a big deal that I completely forgot about.
I do know in the Bond documentary they talk about Saltzman and Broccoli disagreeing over the musical score. Like they didn't want. I think it was. I don't remember which one it was. So one of them did not want Paul McCartney singing the theme song.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
They wanted an African American woman to sing it.
I'm starting to wonder if I've watched the same movie.
It was the documentary, the Amazon Music documentary.
Oh, yeah. I do need to watch that.
Yeah, I do too. Good. So had a lot of useful facts in it.
So, guys, I am 99% sure that whoever was the producer of this movie, or maybe the guy who wrote the movie, they had to have based Dr. Kananga and Mr. Big on Papa Doc from Haiti. Now, of course, the novel Live and Let Die, Mr. Big, is not based on this guy, but I mean, I'm pretty sure this movie's version has got to be based on it. There's just too many similarities. Like, and something else I do want to say, Colton. Originally, they were trying to make it to where Solitaire was not played by Jane Seymour, but originally they wanted to get Diana Ross to be Solitaire.
Who was that Rosie?
No, she wasn't in this movie at all.
Okay, who was Diana Ross?
Very famous disco singer. Like the queen of disco. Like,
well, I feel bad for not knowing who that is, but I'm super glad they went with Jane Seymour because I love her.
Yeah. I mean, I like Diana Ross and everything, but seriously, Jane Seymour is where it's at here.
Oh yeah, she is A-okay with me.
Yes, but
real quick, she wasn't really an established actress at this point, was she?
I really have no. Oh, Jane Seymour?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I think this was like one of her first
breakout roles.
She was like 21 when this movie came out.
Okay.
Partnered with a 45-year-old.
I didn't realize that. I mean, she looks young, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did want to touch on that. Like, for this being her first role, she does really good, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
She sells it for sure.
So this
she's got a lot of weird costume changes in the movie too. Like,
yeah, that very 70s movie, like
Padme Amidala vibes.
What's that?
Padme Amidala vibes.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I definitely say that.
So this is really where we get a lot of of course we've got a really big action set piece that is coming up soon, but we get a little action right here. We get a helicopter coming to kill Bond, and we also get Bond hijacking a double-decker bus for one of my favorite chase scenes. And you know what? I think this right here and the yellow Citroen from For Your Eyes Only, that chase scene, the little yellow VW car.
Yeah.
I think these two chase scenes really show how if James Bond gets into a vehicle, he is the greatest driver in the world. I mean, he's driving a double-decker bus, guys. I mean, but he makes it work. I mean, he even does some crazy stuff. Well, the stunt guys do crazy stuff.
No, that was Roger Moore.
But this is one of my favorite little sequences. Gotta love the bridge. Chopping off the top half of the bus. What are your thoughts on this, boys?
I gotta say, like, that was one of my favorite parts as a kid in this movie, and that it still brought a smile to my face, even though I've probably seen that 100 times.
Yeah, same here. I ain't no telling how many times I've seen this movie.
Yeah, it's just so Bond.
Like I've seen it twice now. I did watch the movie for a second time, and even as an adult, seeing it for the first and second time, like I enjoyed it. It's goofy, but like it's not so campy that you can't enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
it's special. I would
I
say.
mean, I would
This is
say,
sort of like this movie is very tasteful in the like the gags and stuff. Like they're
yeah,
not in parody territory just yet.
I
I would
think
definitely
that's
say that compared to other Roger Moore movies, this is probably one of the most straight laced of them all. Like this
Yeah,
is
and
more
I actually like the gags in this movie.
yeah,
Like they didn't bother me at all.
yeah,
They they
I agree.
they they fit.
I don't think there was any part of this movie that stuck out to me that was something I didn't really like. Not really. Like,
There's one thing. We'll get to it later, but there is
Okay.
one thing for me.
all right, I look forward to finding that out because
I do too. I do too because I've already got an idea of what it could be, and I will let you know when we get there, Caleb, what I think it might be, and you can correct me. But
Yeah, you probably know.
so I
but
will
anyway,
say I will say
go ahead. I'm
there's
sorry.
one thing missing from this movie. Two things missing from this movie that I didn't get that I wanted. There's no real Bond car in this movie, and that's disappointing. But I mean, he's got the double decker bus, so that works. And no Q.
Hmm
That was
This is
the most disappointing thing about this movie.
There's another pretty big element missing. Like, we don't get Bond in a tuxedo, except for no,
we
I
don't at
think
all.
he's wearing a necktie in the gun barrel.
Necktie.
Yeah, so no tuxedo,
I didn't even notice.
which is really odd considering this is Roger Moore's like introduction as Bond. Um,
But speaking of like his uniforms, like his clothing, like he might not have a tuxedo, but in the final act of the film, his uniform there is probably one of my favorite Bond outfits I've seen.
yeah, Roger
Yes.
Moore doesn't necessarily need a tuxedo. He looks good in pretty much everything.
He is
He looks
everything.
good in the monogram robe, as far as I'm concerned.
He did
Uh,
look bougie.
I have to say, my wife, she thinks Roger Moore is very handsome. She told me several times. I
Okay, I
mean,
get it. He's handsome.
like dude just had it with the ladies, you know. I mean, it's just the way it is.
That's like me and my wife with Pierce Brosnan. Yep.
But
Dang.
so they escape to Quarrel's waiting boat and escape. And one of the scenes I love in this movie, whenever they're sailing off into the water, there is one scene and it shows sharks following, you know, like in the water. It just kind of just gives that vibe, like, yeah, you might have got away right now, but there's always, something's gonna be chasing you, Bond,
Yeah.
always. Like,
Something's chasing you, or like something's waiting.
yes,
Yeah.
always. But and it kind of still fits in with the voodoo vibe, like, hey, we just there's always gonna be something coming after you.
Yeah.
And that's probably me seeing way too much more.
No, I've heard other people say that
Oh
same
yeah,
thing
okay,
about that shot. Yeah.
yeah, good. So the next scene, we're back in New Orleans, and everything is, I guess, okay for a second, but we see our cab driver from New York, and again he gives me another good dialogue line. He says, um, what was it? He says it sure beats the hell out of Harlem, like I,
I love that he
I just
calls him
love that
Jim.
dude.
Yeah. I think we only get him twice,
Yeah,
but both times he's a standout.
and he takes him to the airport, and they get out of the car, and the cab driver says, "You going skydiving?"
Oh yeah.
You know? So
Do,
this
do you
scene
want?
right here,
Okay,
the
go ahead.
like the whenever they've all got him at the airport, the bad guys got Bond, and Solitaire acts like she's gonna hit him with the bag. See, I've always interpreted that as she acts like she's gonna hit him to give Bond like a little moment to get away. What do you guys think about it? Because I've heard some people say that it's Solitaire trying to save face with, the bad guys. I just wonder what your thoughts were.
That was my first impression that
Okay.
she was trying to save face. I didn't know. Like I just straight up did not know.
Yeah. I still don't think I truly know what we're supposed to even think from that. Like,
We mentioned something about maybe there being some deleted scenes somewhere. Maybe there's a scene that
yeah,
fleshes that out. So, it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just weird.
yes,
So I didn't even notice it. I'm gonna be honest with you. So you guys sound way better at this than me because I was like, I didn't even notice. I think it's just because my mind went straight to all the other like craziness that ensued right after that.
Yeah, I love this sequence. But real quick before we move past it, I, the way or the way it hit me when she did that was like I thought I had missed something. Like I don't know.
I definitely missed something the whole scene whenever I watched it because I watched it twice and didn't notice.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like it's just kind of irrelevant. She didn't have to do anything in that scene. I don't.
not at all.
Yeah.
So this little scene right here, like I mean, this is probably as crazy as this movie gets, I guess. But I love it. So Bond gets on a plane, what is this? What kind of plane is this? Is this a Cessna or is it? Or is this?
I have no clue.
I have no idea either. And
I'm
I'm
not big
sure
on aviation.
If y'all
Yeah.
can wait about 45 minutes, I can boot up Microsoft Flight Simulator and I can look it up and tell you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can start.
now.
Start now.
So anyway, we get Bond and the sidekick of all sidekicks, Mrs. Bell, who is waiting for Mr. Bleecker to give her a flight lesson. But Bond takes over the flight lesson for today, and
He's indisposed.
yeah, indisposed. I'll be giving the lesson, and she says, "What are we doing today?" And he says, "Well, let's just wing it, shall we?" So this scene, I mean, I don't even know what to even say about it. Like, I mean, we know Bond knows how to fly planes, but instead of trying to fly it, he just kind of uses it as a car in this scene. Like,
Yeah, the way I took it, it was he could never maneuver it
Yeah.
to get
yeah, to actually get airborne is that's the
yeah.
way I always thought of it too.
But him maneuvering it as well as he does is still impressive, I guess.
Okay, now I've already talked so many times about all the great lines of dialogue in this movie, but guys, I'm going to tell you my number one favorite line of dialogue. And I don't even know if you guys heard it in this movie. But all these cars are driving around, and you hear one guy says, "Leroy, slow down. For Pete's sake, slow down." And then this other guy says, I can't find the brake." Like how can you not find the brake? I mean,
It did not make any sense.
No, interesting thing about that car, the brake was in the center console. The brake pedal was actually in the center console. No, I
You
don't
were
know.
so full of it.
Yes. That's some of that mental gymnastics.
Like that is literally one of my favorite lines in cinema is that dude saying that. Like
it's got to be the first time he's ever driven a car. Like,
why,
how do you?
why did they put that in there? Like,
But even if it's an automatic, you have to hold the brake in to put it in gear. Like,
Yeah, so how did he even take off?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh man, I've never driven either, so
It's fair.
But I love it. I love it, guys. I'm really glad y'all remembered that because that's like a standout moment for me.
Yeah,
like,
I remember the I can't find the brake line, but what was the line leading up to that again?
It was some old boy saying, he's like, "Leroy, slow down. For Pete's sake, slow down."
Yeah,
But,
this whole sequence is really good. I think Roger Moore adds a lot to it. Like the way he plays the scene is just It just adds to it, I think.
And I love Mrs. Bell. You know, she's telling him he's over revving, and then it's got that one part where she says, "Holy shit!" You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it was right before he went through the hangar doors and
Yes.
broke the wings
And-
off.
And
Is that where the plane in Grand Theft Auto 3 comes from?
that's what I always thought. Like, you know, the dodo in GTA
Yeah.
3 with the clipped wings, it had to be
Oh,
from Live and Let Die.
I'd never put that together until the other night when I watched this movie. I was like, that could very well be a Live and Let Die reference in that game.
Well, I've always heard that the Hauser guys, the dudes that made GTA, I always heard they were big Bond fans. So I mean,
Oh, yeah.
maybe they were putting that in there.
I mean,
But
it's completely irrelevant, but I did want to point that out because you said something about being a GTA fan. I was like, I wonder if he thought the same thing.
I've been a GTA fan for a long time, so yeah, I thought the same thing, Caleb. I'm glad you brought that up. So I just, you know, I love this scene. You know, he gets out of the airplane. He says, you know, same time tomorrow. But
She's just in shock.
yeah, and then the next scene, you know, that guy's on the phone with Felix and really just giving him hell, you know, just and I mean Felix gets some good lines here too. He says, what does he say? He's like we don't have to resort to name calling, and says, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
you're a veteran, sir.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think Bond asks how is Mrs. Bell? Intensive care, but she'll pull through.
She'll pull through. But,
So I was gonna say something about the wings coming off the plane. Like, I'm pretty sure the doors would have came off the hangar.
I don't know. Maybe.
Like, I don't know. Like, I was just thinking, like, because it's what, sheet metal? And wouldn't the plane be like
heavier than the sheet
like
metal
steel or something?
Microsoft Flight Simulator likes about 40 more minutes, and I'll tell you.
I'm sorry, I'm putting too much thought into it.
Maybe if anybody listening to this has got to this point of this podcast and knows anything about airplanes, you can answer the question for us.
Well, maybe we just need to like get a hold of Grant Johnson and just see if he'll help us reenact.
That's right. Let's do it.
I
We
don't know
gotta
why.
get him on this. Gotta get him on the podcast next.
I don't know why I'm not just Googling this shit.
Because you got Flight Simulator right there, man.
But
have y'all ever played that game?
No.
Every time I know of it, but I've never played it.
Every time I launch it, it literally has like 30 to 45 minutes worth of updates. That's what that joke was.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we get Bond and Felix, and they're going to the New Orleans filet of soul, and they try to set him in a booth in which he says, "No, I had a nasty turn in a booth once," and says he wants something next to the stage. And you know, this is another time Bond tries to order bourbon and water. And did anyone notice what Felix wanted to order?
You know, I didn't even pay attention to Felix much, other than
Man, I tried to absorb the drink because I figured it would be a topic of discussion, and I cannot remember it.
So the drink that Felix says 2 Sazeracs, and he looks at Bond. He says, well, where's your sense of adventure or something like that? This is New Orleans, so a Sazerac. All right, so a Sazerac is like the drink of New Orleans, and it is very tasty, and you boys would probably really like it.
What is in it?
Rye whiskey. They use they will wash the glass with absinthe, and
right.
I think there is maybe a sugar cube in there too. It's been a minute since I've had a Sazerac, but it is a very good drink. I had one whenever I went to Los Angeles. I've never had one whenever I was in New Orleans though.
I wasn't old enough to drink when I went to New Orleans.
The original Sazerac had cognac in it, but the one that is, I guess, more famous today is going to have rye whiskey in it.
Well,
But,
out of all those ingredients, the only one that I'm familiar with is sugar. So based on that, I think I like it.
I got you. But so anyway, we get Bond going down through the floor. So he's now
Picking a table over a booth didn't seem to make a difference, did it?
not at all.
No, I wonder if just all the tables do that shit.
Yes, I know for real.
Like the odds. I mean, you already know they're looking out for him because I mean they just took out Strutter.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah, I gotta say something about Strutter. Gone too soon. R.I.P.
Yeah, I was sad he died.
Yeah.
That was so out of the which he wasn't that big of a character, I guess, but like it was just so like
I mean, I'm gonna be straight with you guys. Like, and we discussed this earlier in the podcast. I mean, I feel like we needed more scenes with him.
yeah, I did
Like,
too.
I could totally go for another 20 minutes of Bond and Strutter. Going around New York City. Learning more about Mr. Big. I mean,
Yeah, him and Bond in the cab with with that guy. Just put all the characters we like into the
yeah,
cab.
like all the good characters together and have them go on an
Yeah.
adventure together.
Uh,
But
The whole movie just inside the car.
Cessna 172 is what it was.
okay, so it was a Cessna. All right, well,
Mhm.
I feel good about that.
Good
Thank
job, John.
What was the
Uh,
other question?
What was it made out of?
Oh, the hangar. The hangar or the plane?
Both.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
You don't have to Google it, Caleb. It's okay, dude.
It's just so cumbersome to use a keyboard.
What's that one rock song? Is like talking about being something cumbersome. Man, is it
don't know.
Stone Temple Pilots?
I don't even know if cumbersome was the right word to use there, but I don't know.
I think there's a Stone Temple Pilots song where like one of the lines is like he says cumbersome. That's the only reason I know that word.
Yeah, that sounds like something Stone Temple Pilots or like freaking Alice in Chains would say. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
like, I mean, can't you just see them boys doped up out of their mind writing songs and using weird words like that?
Just existence is just cumbersome.
But so this whole scene with Bond in the chair, of course, they've got his arms strapped down, and we got Mr. Big here. What do you guys think about this scene?
I loved it. Like
So-
the whole scene just plays out good. Like Mr. Big tells him to get his watch, and
Forgive me if I
Bond-
don't stand.
well, after
Oh.
that, Bond calls him, was it a butter hook?
Butterhook.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, oh man, it was so good. Like, I loved it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So what
No,
about
it
the
was that
scene
was
when?
funny.
What about the scene when the dude pulls the mask off?
It was really. It wasn't a shocking reveal because I knew, but like the fact that they did this in the 70s and the prosthetics looked as good as they did, I thought it was cool.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't ever remember this being a big shocking reveal at all. Like I don't know. Like maybe I just always knew that Mr. Big was Kananga and they were both the same person.
I don't think for me, I don't think it was because I always knew. It's just like it wasn't really played up.
Yeah, they didn't really.
Like-
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Big is just in like what one other scene besides this one,
Yeah.
and Kananga's in so many scenes. Like he's at the United Nations and he's in New York and he's in his office while Rosie's doing all that stuff. I mean, Kananga's got a lot more, stage presence. And by the way, I have not brought this up until now, but I think I want to talk about the man that plays Kananga, Yaphet Kotto. I think he is awesome. I think he's a
Agreed.
great actor. He was also in
Agreed.
Alien too. If you guys have ever seen that movie,
Oh, huh?
I'm pretty sure he was in Alien.
I have not
Yeah, I
seen that
think-
movie since I was a kid.
But yeah, Yaphet Kotto. I think he is by far one of the smart, like just the way he portrays Mr. Big. I mean Kananga and Mr. Big. Just the way he portrays them, I think it's awesome. I think he does a great job, and just he has like just a more sophisticated like portrayal. Like this guy is smart. He knows what he's doing. Like he's almost. I mean, he's almost like Blofeld is the only other person. Blofeld or Goldfinger.
Yeah.
just like they know what they're doing. They know how they're going to do something, and it's just by Bond's luck that Bond does something and survives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we already talked about the henchmen in the movie, but I think his henchmen are number one as well. I think they're awesome.
Real
Like,
quick to touch on like how he's a mastermind. I don't think Bond ever really outsmarts him the whole movie,
Yeah.
does he? Like
Just
maybe,
like maybe at the end.
yeah, but
That's
usually, 'cause you brought up Goldfinger, like
yeah,
Bond has the gas switched out. Like at no point during this movie did I feel like Bond was a step ahead.
yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah,
he was playing catch up the whole time, pretty much.
yeah.
Like, and I think it's just because, no, I mean, not necessarily because of their technological advancements really helped. I think it's just because I think as much as we were supposed to know that Kananga was Mr. Big, I don't know if Bond knew Kananga was Mr. Big.
Mm.
I think that's who the reveal was for, not us.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and talk about this scene. I think this is a really good scene. We get there's a lot of different different things going on here. The first one I want to talk about is this is where we learn the villain scheme. So pretty much Kananga is going to literally give away millions of dollars worth of heroin.
Mm.
And he's doing this because he wants to make people addicts, which will in turn run the mafia. I think Bond refers to him as a few families in New York or something like that.
Yeah.
But he wants to run the mafia out of business, and then after he is got the whole United States hooked on heroin, he wants to up the price of it and make probably billions of dollars. Which I mean I think is a pretty cool little scheme, especially for the time period. This is the early 1970s. This is where a lot of guys, especially in Harlem, you have all those big time heroin dealers.
Mm.
Like you ever seen the movie with Denzel Washington, American Gangster?
I have not.
Well, you have that guy. I can't remember his name right off the bat, but Frank Lucas, that's who it was. He was a real life gangster from Harlem. Um, I mean, drugs were a big deal during the 70s. They were taking over, life in certain cities. So I mean, I really dig Kananga's plan here. I think it's different than the usual. So and so wants to take over the world, or so and so wants to steal a nuclear bomb and hold the world for ransom.
Yeah, it's just a get rich quick scheme.
yeah,
And it's I mean I don't mean to downplay it, but that's like
yeah,
when you compare it to Blofeld making bioweapons
yeah.
and whatever his plan was in Diamonds Are Forever. I don't even remember that. Build a laser out of diamonds. I don't
Yeah,
care.
it was
But yeah, it's just kind of small scale. It's believable.
yeah, believable.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's probably why
I
I
agree
like.
with that.
It's
What?
probably why what you just said. It's probably why I like not that I consciously paid attention to it, but if you think about it, like it's like a really self-contained, small scale story.
Yeah,
It's not
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
and I also just like the idea of Kananga. He's the island dictator. Dr. Kananga, where he grows the poppies at, and he's also gangster. Big time gangster in New York City, where he sells the product. So I mean, I dig it. I love it.
You think he's got another mask?
Who
They've ruined
knows?
that one. They've ruined that one.
Well,
But
he didn't need another one after
Yeah,
Bond.
you're right.
but we also figure out that Solitaire has indeed lost her powers by losing her virginity. So I guess her powers were lost as soon as she lost her virginity, which is not in the book at all.
Really?
That is not in the book. They do not even have sex in the book.
Huh.
Like that. Well, I mean, it's implied at the end of the book, but throughout the book they don't do it.
Yeah.
Which, of course, in the
I coulda
movies, you got
swore-
to have that in the movie. But
Right, yeah. I could have swore I've read this book, but yeah, those details like that aren't really coming to mind. But this is going to come up eventually, and I'm surprised it hasn't already. Do you guys? I don't think the movie never comes right out and says it, but like, is there some superstitious stuff going on in the Bond universe? Like, is this what the movie's telling us, that she actually does have these powers?
yeah, I think we're supposed to believe that.
Okay, which is fine. It's just like I didn't know how to.
It's something that never is brought up again, ever in the
Yeah,
Bond series.
yeah, I know.
Supernatural stuff is never again used. I mean, which I'm going to compare this with another. I mean, you could even say Bond-like franchise. I mean, Indiana Jones, and I know y'all are Indiana Jones fans. There's always
That's a good
supernatural stuff
comparison.
going on there,
Yeah.
you know. But in Bond, this is really the only time where anything.
Well, yeah, it's like Indiana Jones in this way. Like,
Yeah.
the supernatural stuff happens, and then people just kind of go back to normal life like
Yes.
nothing happened. Like, I don't know. Like, you would think it'd be a bigger deal.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's another, I guess, supernatural thing that happens at the end of the movie that we will talk about. I love the fedora, Colton.
My Indy hat.
I dig it.
We're gonna have to swap names.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Indiana flat or something like that, or
Oh,
Tennessee flat.
wait, yeah, that's an Indiana. I thought it was a bucket, like a cowboy hat, like
It probably looks like that on me, but it's like a licensed Indiana Jones hat.
Wow. All right.
I feel so bad for not recognizing that. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I mean, the computer like distorts. Plus, I'm also fat, so
No, that's
I'm not gonna look like Indy.
it's really the quality of the camera. Like,
Oh yeah, this is a horrible camera. Just like
Yeah.
I don't know why they're so bad.
Yeah, I know this isn't the right franchise, but get just a touch closer, because I do want to see like the. Oh man, yeah, that's legit.
Like I bought it for Halloween last year, I think.
Cool.
Sorry to derail the Bond talk.
No, you're fine.
good, man.
Back to Temple of Doom.
But yeah, this is about the only time we ever do get any
Superstitious stuff. Yeah.
supernatural instances at all. So
Wait, yeah, supernatural. Keep saying superstitious. That's not the word.
and we also see Mr. Big literally smack the shit out of Solitaire in this scene.
Oh yeah,
He did.
Like,
her powers don't include reflexes.
pretty rough. But and then you get that one guy just laughing maniacally about it.
Yeah.
So speaking of the supernatural and the superstitious stuff, like I like how Baron Samedi is like super creepy, crazy throughout the movie. Like he's what sells it for me. Like,
Yeah.
even if I didn't believe in the power stuff, if I saw a dude messing around, like I would think something could happen around him.
So, do you guys know who Baron Samedi really is? It's not an invention of the movie. I mean, Baron Samedi is
It's like a myth or a legend. Yeah.
it's the voodoo religion, basically the like the Lord of Death or something like that.
Oh, so that's like a legitimate part of their religion.
As far as I know, yes. And if I'm wrong there, someone please tell
Well,
me.
now,
But
I said
I
it was.
haven't.
I said it was like a
looked
myth or legend, and I feel like some people might take that offensive.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was speaking from ignorance, so forgive me.
I mean, I think anybody who listens to this knows we're not trying to offend anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if anybody listening to this knows about that, please correct me if I'm wrong. But because I don't know much about voodoo at all. Do you, Colton?
Man, the extent of my voodoo knowledge comes from me having been to New Orleans one time and watching Live and Let Die and playing Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Okay.
So that's about it.
Well, Tony Hawk.
Yeah. So like in Tony Hawk's Underground 2, you go to New Orleans and there's some like crazy voodoo stuff that happens. I think you unleash like hell on earth. And there's a little there's like a voodoo guy riding around on like some motorized vehicle, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess I didn't play that one because I don't remember that.
It's nuts. It's the game that's like pretty much Jackass the game. Like you got
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I remember that game.
yeah, I really enjoyed that game.
That was the World Destruction Tour and all that, right?
World Destruction
Yeah.
Tour.
So yeah, I remember the title and all that stuff, and I almost kind of like remember the box art, but I don't remember the voodoo stuff.
Man, I tried to look up the name of that character, and I thought it might have been Baron Samedi, but like all the Baron Samedi stuff that comes up when you look it up is like creative skater stuff.
Hmm.
So I know you're there during Mardi Gras and all that cemetery stuff happens. But I think the little dude on the tricycle, I don't know if you can see it. It looks like Baron Samedi on like a crazy devil's tricycle. You might not be able to see it on my phone.
Hold it still.
Let me turn the brightness down. That might be part of it.
Yeah, I can halfway see it.
It kind of does look like Baron Samedi.
Yeah, it does look like him, doesn't it?
So that's the only reason I knew anything about it. Like you guys might be able to look it up better by yourselves later. And sorry to jump off topic.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Scooby-Doo Zombie Island.
Oh my God. Zombie Island is the best Scooby-Doo movie.
It really is.
I actually
let's not talk about Scooby-Doo Zombie Island.
Right. So yeah, following Caleb, moving on. So what about the scenes that come next? We get Bond being taken to the farm, and I want to say this. This is actually a real life like farm that was ran by this guy named Kananga.
Yep.
And apparently these guys, I mean, the people, Eon Productions really loved this guy. He was just really colorful, just
well, he risked his life for
he did.
For a half a second shot. So the least they could do is name the villain after him.
Yes. So we get Bond being put on a small little island out in a pond or lake or whatever that is, really dirty water with crocodiles all over it, and Tee is feeding the alligators and crocodiles, and we also, I think we talked about this earlier in the podcast, but we get to see one of them that was it Albert? Is that his name? The one that took his arm off?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I remember Bond's like, "Well done, Albert," or "Well done."
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But we get Bond's we get the advice that Tee gives Bond, which is to jam a pencil into the pressure point behind his eye, and then he says, "Well, what's the other one?" He says, "Oh, that one's even more simple. You just stick your hand in his mouth and pull his teeth out." So, what do you guys think about the jumping across the crocodiles?
Man, I don't know if this is the movie that like made it a thing. I don't know. Like, is this the movie that made that a trope?
Dude, I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't either.
Like, because if so, I mean that makes this movie even more iconic. I really like. I didn't know how he was going to get out of it. Seeing him jump across the alligators and crocodiles was ridiculous. But I mean, I believed every minute of it. Like, I thought it was interesting.
I'm gonna guess. I think this would have to be the first version of that we get.
And,
I would believe it.
And this is that Kananga guy that owned the place. That is him jumping across them.
Yeah, shot I was talking about.
Yeah.
That is it's insane, man. That is so kudos to him.
Yes.
Seriously. Because
And
that took multiple takes. I don't know if
yes.
you guys have seen the outtakes.
Oh
No.
yes, I have.
The fact that he still got all of his toes, or he may not have all of his toes, but the fact that he didn't lose any toes doing that stunt, oh my gosh.
Like the fact that somebody really did that and it wasn't like it's practical blows my mind. I didn't know anything about it. So you guys just kind of dropped a bomb on me in a way.
Dude, I wonder if that was his idea. Like the producer's like, okay, we're gonna think of a creative way for Bond to get out of this. And Kanang's like, listen, I can line these crocodiles up right here and I can just walk across their backs. And the producer's like, no, don't do that. Yeah, I'll do it real quick. Watch this. And then he just does it. Like,
That's a good question.
Ridiculous.
But of course, we get Bond letting the Crocs in, and we get Bond hijacking a boat, and we get probably the most badass boat sequence ever in a movie. It's actually a record-breaking sequence. One of the jumps that were taken that was done in the movie, and we're also introduced to fan favorite Bond ally Sheriff J.W. Pepper of the Louisiana State Police,
I hate this character.
who is
I hate him.
pretty much your stereotype bigoted hillbilly racist sheriff. He uses the word boy quite a bit. um, so Colton Flat, what do you think about it?
I mean, he's fine. Like I understand he's comic relief. He's just goofy as hell, man. And
Yeah, it's
like I don't know if he is for sure, but I feel like he's kind of like the archetype that brought on like Buford T. Justice in the Smoking Bandit films.
he is most definitely the prototype Buford T. Justice. Like, I mean, them two dudes went to the same school. You know what I mean? They probably went to the same police academy or whatever. You know, they are the same. Like,
They had the same mammoth.
yes, like yeah, man. Like whenever I was a kid, this was like, I mean, some of the things that are said in this part of the movie are some of the most quoted things that my dad and I would say. Like,
I was joking when I said I hated this character. Yeah. It's kind of the same with me and my dad. Like we we loved J.W. Pepper, and I want to say why I think he's actually in here is because how long is the boat chase? 7, 8 minutes, something like that.
yeah, it's like almost 10 minutes, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, we go a long time without Bond,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and I feel like we
Pepper.
kind of needed
Yeah,
some character to latch on to,
yeah.
and
JW kind of hijacks the movie for a second, don't he? Like,
yeah, and I don't mind.
I
He's
don't either.
hilarious.
I'm sad we don't have more of him than we do get. Like, I enjoy him.
So I'm going to. This is really going to show the depths of the Bond uh nerddom that I've went to. But y'all ever played 007 Racing?
We talked about this last episode. Yep.
J-
Uh,
JW Pepper is in 007 Racing.
he
Also, Whisper is in that game as well.
Dude, Whisper's my favorite from this movie. Unrelated.
who?
Whisper,
The henchman in this movie, Whisper.
really big dude.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, isn't J.W. Pepper the boss in 007 Racing? Like, isn't he like the big bad at the end? You have to defeat.
No,
Oh,
unfortunately not.
It'd be crazy if they just like reskinned Mario 64 for that game. He was like
Yes.
Bowser.
Like it was a kart racing game. Like,
I don't think there were actually any like character models in that game. I think it was just cars.
I've never played it. I was just making a joke.
Oh, I know, but when you said that, I was like, wait, do you even get to say Bond in that game? I don't. Maybe in a cutscene.
yeah, in cutscenes you do. That's it.
They're following the old was it Need for Speed?
Or Driver One.
Yeah, it's
never
more
played
like
Driver.
Driver, I would say, or Twisted.
They
It's
had
like
character
Driver and
models.
Twisted Metal put together. Like that's what 007 Racing was.
Yeah.
I did play Driver 3 though.
Real quick, as far as like spy driving games go, I think Spy Hunter's a better
Spy
game.
Hunter. Hell yeah.
But that's probably 5-6 years apart. So
yeah,
Spy Hunter being newer.
Yes. So like this boat sequence, there is so much to like here. Like and another henchman that I really like, and he doesn't have the presence that he has, but it's this guy, his name's Adam, and he's the guy that JW pulls over, you know, like and you know, he basically, JW comes and makes him put his hands on the fender, all that stuff. I really like that henchman. I think he's pretty good. He gets a very small part, but I like him.
What is he the one that goes on to steal the really fast
Yes.
boat? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I really like the part where I guess Mr. Big's men are telling everybody to get in the boats and let's go. And he says the man that gets him stays alive. Remember that? When he's
I don't know if this is anything y'all want to comment on. I just thought I'd bring it up. This scene where he's getting in touch with all these different guys, it reminded me of John Wick for some reason. In that, all these people that work for him are just kind of blending in until it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool.
It's kind of scary if you think about it.
Yeah.
And another line I really like is whenever sheriff gets on like the other guy, like the sheriff's car had already been destroyed, And
let's talk about that for 1 second. That is so cool. I love that. Yeah. The boat crashing into the car. Sorry.
Well, let's go back to that, Caleb, and then I'll talk about what I was just saying. Whenever the boat crashed into the car, remember, all you hear is the walkie-talkie, and he's like, that person's like, JW, Miss Jessie just called. The
Her dog's going crazy. Yeah.
They want to know if you want to come shoot it for her.
Yeah. Yeah, that chatter that we get on the CB, and then the cops as they're pulling up to the scene. They're like, that's one of them, they're damn boat cars. Where you been, boy? Like, that sort of stuff is so funny because, dude, if you're from somewhere where we're from, old people talk like that, and if you like in my line of work, I have to listen to a CB all the time. That's what it sounds like all the time. So I don't know. It's just funny to hear in the movie.
Yes.
So I think it's funny how Sheriff JW is talking about didn't he say it's his brother-in-law getting the? Yeah. He's like, my brother-in-law coming in the fast boat.
Billy Bob, that's his brother-in-law's name.
Yeah,
that's Billy Bob. And then you see, him coming, and the other cops are like,
I don't think that's Billy Bob.
Yeah,
you sure that's your brother-in-law? Sure. It was a black. So it was funny. Like obviously a black dude driving the boat. He's like, "You sure that's your brother?" But no, like whenever the sheriff's in the car with the other police guys, he said he gets on the walkie-talkie, the CB. I don't know why I keep on saying walkie-talkie, but he says
same thing.
He says we got a swamp full of black Russians driving boats to beat the band down.
Yeah. I love all the dialogue here.
I do too, man.
It really sells this movie.
It's awesome.
You guys brought up Buford T. Justice, and I had to look this up because I was thinking this was like a Roscoe knockoff, like from Dukes of Hazzard, and no, this is 71. Dukes of Hazzard premiering 77 or 78. Yeah. So that's another character that he might have influenced.
Yes,
which is crazy if you think about that, because not to say this movie isn't huge, but Dukes of Hazzard blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But of course we get Bond. I mean, before I talk about the end of this boat scene, there is some crazy stuff that goes on. Like we get Bond going over land, and they're all like, boats are driving on land, then in water, and a
Through a
wedding
wedding
cake gets
procession?
destroyed. Actually, not even just the cake, the whole wedding reception gets destroyed. And but my favorite my favorite part is when the dude's sitting out by the pool and the boat comes in, and he's just like sitting there, and there's dudes in his pool, and on the CB he says, one of the cops says, so and so just got their boat stole off stole off the river, but picked up a new one in his swimming pool.
That's another part of the CB chatter. It's just
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's awesome.
When I was a
But
kid, I was like, why is that lady so upset about her cake? And then I had a wedding. I get it.
yep.
Oh yeah, expensive as hell for no reason.
But we get Bond. Of course, he ends up killing Adam by throwing gas in his eyes and making his boat go into a bigger boat, which then makes a humongous explosion. Like,
So was it a boat or was it like, I don't know what they're called out on the river. We have them out on the lake.
Was it a boat? Maybe it wasn't a boat.
Like, I know you tie off barges to them. Like,
I
there's
don't
one
know.
of those. There's one
I'd
of
have
those
to go
next
back
to
and
it.
I have to go back and watch it again.
Like, I
You're not
I'm
talking
not
about
saying
you're not talking about a lock, are you?
no, it's not a lock.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
like, out in the middle of the lake, you've got those big circular concrete type things. There was one right next to that. I didn't know if it was more of the same, but you could go up in it.
I don't know.
So
All I was gonna say is like if they just had to have an explosion, I feel like there was an easier way to achieve it.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's just I'm not complaining. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. It was just like I don't know. Just seemed like a really complicated way to kill that guy.
well, I'll say this: it's way better than any explosions we had in Diamonds.
Agreed.
No, I don't think
Comparing
so.
comparing and
You don't
Diamonds
think it's
and
better than
No. You
dude, the
serious?
CGI explosions in Diamonds were
Groundbreaking.
unbreakingly terrible.
No, I'm just
dog.
kidding. I think
You know,
I think the volcano lava effect and You Only Live Twice, that is better than all the explosions combined in Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this: just comparing Diamonds Are Forever in this movie, they
Oh,
are
man.
like worlds apart, aren't they?
Dude,
Like
this is
they are to me at
such-
least.
this is such a more competent movie.
Yes. And,
Like that.
and y'all know I love Diamonds Are Forever, but man, this is just plain as day a better movie. Like, I'm
Man,
sorry, it's just
that's the thing. Like for Diamonds Are Forever, for all of its faults, I had fun watching it.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
fun, but this is just
yeah.
the
If
better one.
anybody wants to hear about that, they can go watch the episode. This is it is just a better movie.
Yeah,
I think it's more fun to watch than Diamonds. Also,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so we of course we get Bond meeting J.W. Pepper, and and he's going to arrest him and all that.
What are you, some kind of doomsday machine?
And
we got
I
a place
like
to
that
lock you
other
up forever, boy.
and that other cop goes up to him and is like, "Now listen, J.W. He's working in cooperation with our boys.
Secret agent.
You really do that good, Caleb." But
There's I'm not gonna say his name, but I know a guy in real life that sounds just like that. And
oh, I'm sure I do too.
anyway.
Man. But anyway, all all that behind us now. We get the final part of the movie with Bond and Felix and our boy Quarrel Jr. Well, he comes along for it, which I really like. I like him being there. Uh, and Bond is going to basically infiltrate Kananga's Island and destroy the poppy fields. And I really love this. And this is yet again another piece of dialogue that I like. Whenever Quarrel says, "Give my regards to Baron Samedi," right between the eyes. Like I dig it, you know. But Colton, I know you've brought it up 2 or 3 times during this podcast. What Roger Moore is wearing right now is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
you guys
perfect.
ever seen Bullet?
Yeah. I've seen Bullet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, very
He's like wearing the
similar.
same thing that
Yeah.
Steve
Very
McQueen
similar.
wears.
I love
Very
that movie. I don't know
similar.
how I didn't make that comparison.
I don't
And,
either. I've never put that together, and I love that movie.
Dude.
Yeah,
That's
of course,
crazy.
Bullet came out in '69, which is just a few years before this movie.
Mm.
And also, I don't think that this is the only movie that is influencing this scene. Dirty Harry came out, and of course, when Dirty Harry came out, that's when the 44 Magnum became like the the greatest handgun in the world. And
Yeah.
Bond's wearing Steve McQueen's clothes and carrying Dirty Harry's 44 Magnum.
And
So
it totally works for me. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved every minute of it. Like, I ate it up. Like, the
Like,
whole last
this
part of
is
the movie is just, I loved it.
just one of the most badass like looks, like I mean,
Yeah.
this is Roger Moore's straight up looking like he's here to murder someone, you know what I mean? Like
He's
all
a thug.
black with a big ass gun,
I love when he shoots at Baron Samedi. It just explodes. Like they ain't shooting wad cutters, man. Those are some hot rounds.
But so we see them put the bombs on the poppy fields, and we see Bond, kind of setting up a firing line. Solitaire. I guess he just knew when Solitaire was going to be, chained up because he's there at the right moment and saves her. And he's very liberal with his use of the gun here. He's just shooting as many people as he can, and then of course, what is it? Is it 6 shots or 5? Is that how 6? Right?
Are you talking about in the cylinder?
Yeah,
Or
in a 44 Magnum.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
6. Okay. Well,
Or is
I
it
know,
5? I don't know. I can't remember in all this excitement.
but so we get,
That's cool.
but like the whole thing that you were talking about, Caleb, about him shooting the Baron Samedi like what do you call it?
Statue. I don't know.
Mannequin.
It's like a porcelain statue.
I don't
Yeah.
get the point of it. I was so confused. Why
I
was
guess
there
they
a
knew-
second one of him?
I guess they knew Bond was going to show up with a 44 Magnum, and they wanted to give him a really reactive target to shoot at.
What I like is whenever he shoots his head, his eyes look up like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually put a lot of work into it.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Just for
They
it to get
did.
shot.
But so we get the real Baron Samedi coming out, and they have a machete duel, which is very quickly. I mean, not even really a duel. It's just like Bond hitting him and then throwing him in a coffin full of spiders.
I wanted one of two things from that scene. When you see them face off, or when you see Baron wield the machete, I wanted Bond to either pull out the revolver and do like an Indiana Jones style, like just bang and get it over with, or them actually fight with machetes. And Roger Moore essentially goes,
Yep.
and that's it.
Well, and let me go back to what I just said. It wasn't a coffin full of spiders. It was a coffin full of snakes. I don't know why I said spiders. Sorry about that, boys.
It's okay. I will like to say that all the snakes in this movie were non-venomous. They were all non-venomous snakes.
Were they really?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
They were just like, I don't remember the types of snakes, but none of them were venomous snakes. Like they were real snakes.
The breed of snake was not inherently venomous.
Because the snake in the hotel room, you can tell by the shape of the snake's head, which you guys know.
Man, Colton, you need to talk to my wife because she loves snakes. She's all the time showing me snakes and being like, "This one right here is not venomous because of what you said."
I hate snakes. Like I'm staying the heck away from snakes, dog.
My wife loves snakes, man.
They're cool.
I'll say this:
won't be
if
anywhere
I
near
know it's not venomous, I'll leave it alone. Because I don't know. They do something for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
good.
they eat mice. I know. But I'm like you, Colton. I don't want to see it.
I'm
I don't want to
staying
see
as
it.
far away from snakes as I can. Now I'll go look at them when we go to the zoo or something, but that's about as close as I'm getting.
So we get Bond going down into the underground lair of Dr. Kananga. And what do you guys think about this little area? It's got a monorail in it, which I know in this podcast we are a monorail loving podcast.
We are. I love the monorails.
We all love monorails.
I've never gotten to ride one, but hopefully one day I will.
Colton, I don't know if I've ever rode a monorail. Guys, we need to do a field trip to monorails.
Yes, I
Where's
would.
the closest
I would love,
one?
I don't know.
Where is the closest monorail?
I don't know where the closest one is, but I know my favorite monorail was demolished last year.
I've got monorail simulator right here. Let me just boot it up and I'll tell you.
So
But
unrelated.
anyway, moving on from the monorail talk.
right,
We
guys.
see Dr. Kananga and Whisper, and they're just chilling down there. And I love this scene where Dr. Kananga's like, he's like, this gun, I'm fascinated by it. What is it? And Bond's like, well, that's a shark gun. It's got compressed, gas pellets. And Whisper's sitting over on this couch, and he's laughing, and he just shoots the couch. He just blows up.
It's hilarious.
It's just like, but of course we
that's
see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that's part of the reason I like Whisper, because like he's just got some good scenes, and then that scene out of all of them, it just is ridiculous.
Yes.
Plus his voice is hilarious to begin
Yeah.
with.
So we see Bond and Solitaire. They get tied up, and basically Kananga's going to let some sharks eat them. And we see Bond use his watch. I'm going to say this. Why do these villains never think, hey, we need to take this fancy ass watch off him before?
He had it. He had it and he gave it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Like,
ridiculous.
but
But
when he
had it in his hand, you would think he'd be like, "This is really heavy."
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? Oh well, here you go. Because I don't know.
But
right before it cuts to them being tied up, Felix is like talking a quarrel, and he's like, I'm sure James is tied up somewhere.
Yeah.
And then like he was literally tied up somewhere.
Tied up.
Like, I love that line.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, my wife did some research. Jacksonville, Florida, is the closest monorail.
Oh,
Yes, we're going to Florida, dog.
oh, I got Mud Island, Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
I don't. That's just the first Google result. So, I might have misspelled monorail for all I know.
So this he uses his watch, the magnet, to get the gas cartridge bullet, whatever it is, which I'm going to say something about in a little bit. But before that, we see the watch do something that we didn't even know it did, and turn into a saw.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I was saying like, you would think that would add some weight to the enough to notice.
Yes.
All they had to do was have a scene where
Yes.
Q calls Bond right before he leaves at the beginning of the movie. Says, by the way, 007, there's a saw on your watch.
Or hell,
That's all it took.
M could have said it, but they had to have him say that joke about, hey, take your watch to the watchmaker down the street. M could have been like, oh, by the way, your damn watch has got a skill saw in it now.
It's insane. Oh, also, when Kananga cuts Bond with is it a machete or a knife? Is it a knife?
It's enough.
Okay, so when he cuts Bond with a knife, like the fake blood is on the knife. He's like painting it onto his arm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I don't remember if you could see. I don't remember if the whole knife was in the shot, but I think the way that was done is like, hold on. So like, if I hold this here,
Yeah.
like you can imagine like a line, like think of like a water line going up the back, and blood coming out like that.
Yeah. That
You
makes
probably
sense.
knew that. I just felt the need
I
to
figured they
explain it.
just, I just figured like, they had the knife and there was like fake blood on the back side of the knife. And like, he
Yeah,
was just like rubbing
that
it on.
totally could have been that too. Yeah.
That's just what I thought it was. But I
Mhm.
mean, either way, like it didn't look like it was cutting him to today's standards, but for then, like it looked good, I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked fine.
Yeah.
Looked better than the snake biting that guy.
Oh my god. It's terrible.
But so one thing I want to say, so we got Bond and Kananga fighting. They both go into the water. So Bond's had this bullet in his mouth the whole time, okay? So he takes the bullet, puts it in Kananga's mouth, pushes him under, and then we get him blowing up. Now, I mean, I don't even know what we're even supposed to think happened. I mean, Bond had the bullet in his mouth. He
Yeah.
didn't blow up.
What triggers it?
I mean, yeah, like I mean, it's not being fired. I mean, is it maybe the depth? I don't
Pressure.
know. Like
Yeah, from depth. Maybe.
I have no idea.
Do you think he bit down on it?
I
What
don't
now?
know. I don't know.
He might have
Who
bit down on it.
knows?
I don't know.
But
I
I'm
liked
gonna be
what it,
honest with you. As much as I love Live and Let Die, and guys, I mean, I've sat here and gushed about this movie for what hours now. I've said like whole lines of dialogue, probably to the point where y'all are tired of hearing it.
No,
no,
dude.
But
never, never, bro.
but but this is one of the dumbest villain deaths ever. I mean,
That was
like
the thing.
not even just Bond movies. I mean, movies in general. This is one of the worst villain deaths. I mean,
Yeah. Do you remember earlier when you said you wanted to
yes,
guess that? Yeah, that's it.
yes.
That makes a lot of sense, Caleb. I
Um,
think I think it was just like it matches the campy vibe with the movie for me. Like the
Definitely
level.
matches the Scooby Doo vibe.
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
I like what he said too when he said he had an inflated opinion of himself. That's
well,
ridiculous, man.
I mean, what I never got was when Solitaire was like, "Where's Kananga?" It's like, well, did you
Where
not
have you
see him just
been?
blow up?
He
Like,
literally just exploded.
like,
He's
dude,
all over the
dude,
room.
like, dude's guts is everywhere. Like,
Where
He
is
had a lot of guts.
but yeah, like it. I just,
That's our
I don't
lazy
have
call
much good
back.
to say about that scene at all. Like, and
uh
weirdly enough, boys, it never really it never really was a big thing for me as a kid. I never thought this was dumb at all. But like me as an adult, I'm like, wow, guys, like
I definitely remember reaching an age where it was like, okay, that's a little out there.
So I'm just gonna say it. Like I think because I had low standards going into Roger Moore's films, like
you just
I
rolled with it.
accepted it. Like I wasn't anticipating to like more as especially this movie as much as I did. So like I still don't really have a problem with Kananga's death. Yes, it's stupid, but like I feel like tonally it makes sense.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it doesn't take me out of the movie as much as some
I
other
Well, I mean,
wouldn't.
it don't
Go ahead.
take me out of the movie. I mean, it's just like, damn, guys, I think y'all could have done
it
that better. That's the
I
vibe
wouldn't
I get.
have near a problem with it if he'd shot him with
Yes,
yeah,
it.
no fully
like
The
understand.
the, the biggest thing is
it
what you brought up. What triggered it?
yeah. Like, I mean, just to add to what you were saying, Caleb, maybe we could have got Bond and him like wrestling for the gun, and then Bond could have shot him, and then he blew up. I would have that would have made a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
I've been like, well, all right,
because
but
we see Kananga shoot the couch, so we're
yeah,
like, okay,
I mean,
that's how that worked.
yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I spent a little bit too much time on that. But anyway, poor old Whisper, he gets put in a container, and I guess they just leave him there to die, unfortunately.
For sure. Never to be seen again.
Yep. R.I.P.
Whisper, you and I should open the campaign. Whatever.
And Roger Moore's like, what?
You want me to open it? You want me to open the champagne?
What?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh no, it's fine.
So we get them now. Everything's good. They're getting on a train, but unfortunately, we see somebody is still stuck around, and it's old
Butter
Tee-hee.
Claw.
Butter
Dr.
Hook.
Claw's
Butter
in
Hook.
here. Yeah, Dr. Hook, Dr. Claw. Hey, Dr. Claw's old. That's Inspector Gadget, isn't it?
Indiana Spectre Gadget.
Sorry about that, y'all.
You're okay. You're okay, John. I'm just messing with you.
Listen,
Dude.
I'm a big Indiana Jones fan. All right, it comes out naturally sometime whenever I'm.
I think we all three like Indiana Jones and Inspector Gadget. It's okay.
I've never seen an Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, it's okay, man. It's probably Mel Gibson's best film series. Okay.
Anyway,
Jonathan's like, what universe did I just branch off into?
I'm just kidding. I know he was in the Highlander movies.
Anyway, so we're gonna move on from all that and finish up Live and Let Die. So, what do y'all think about Tee-hee coming on to the train at the end?
I wasn't expecting it.
It's kind of like how Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wint or whatever show up on the cruise ship.
And spoiler alert, it's kind of like how Knick Knack does like the same thing in the next movie too.
Yeah, but the reason I said that is because I kind of got the same feeling in this movie. I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad they didn't forget about him.
Yes.
I like how Bond literally disarms him with the scissors.
Yeah.
That was it was suspenseful in the way, he finally gets him to latch on to that window frame or whatever
like
is it's cool.
I like how they flipped Solitaire up in the bed. Get her out of the way.
Like she was nothing, like
dude, she is so just like oblivious to everything.
Yeah.
Like she has no idea what happened to Kananga. And in this scene, she's been behind the bed the whole time, so she has no idea what's going on.
Nothing.
And she asked Bond what he's doing. He says, "Just being disarming, darling."
It's so funny.
And the last shot of the movie. This is my second, and as far as I know, last bit of supernaturalness. But we see Baron Samedi riding the train on the front.
Yeah,
I love that. I thought it was really cool. I ate it up. I was like, that gives me a little spooky vibes at the end of the movie. I enjoyed it.
Until I asked that question earlier about whether or not we're supposed to buy the supernatural stuff in this movie, I always took that as just like a wink at the camera.
Yeah.
And nothing more, but not that it really adds or takes anything away. I view it different now.
Yeah, I see. Whenever I was a kid, similar to you, I always thought it was just them being, just a little cheeky, But
yeah.
I mean, now it's like, you know what? This is Bond, and as you've established, Caleb, there's always, fantastical stuff going on. Hey, why not let Baron Samedi come back from the dead? Whatever, like. But
why not? If we can believe Blofeld forgets Bond's face in 2 years.
And then grows a full head of hair.
Yeah. And takes on the appearance of Henderson.
Well, guys, that brings us to the end of the movie Live and Let Die. And I mean, as you and anybody who listens to this would have known, it is a firm favor to me. I've always loved this movie. It was one of the, honest to God, guys, this might have been my first Bond movie I ever watched.
Really?
So, as I said earlier in the podcast, this was the first movie I ever owned, Bond movie I ever owned. My dad bought it, and I still have it to this day. I still own the same one. And about a year ago, I sat down with my stepdaughter, and we watched on a VHS player the same VHS that I had when I was a kid. We watched
Really?
it. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
That had to feel really great, man.
But yeah,
VHS to us is probably like what vinyl records are to our parents.
That makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
And this is just a side question. Do either of you own a VHS player?
No, I need to find one because I've got several VHSs. I don't have anything to play it on right now.
I'm bound to have one somewhere.
I still have mine. I don't use it that much, but I mean, I have all my Bond VHSs. Of course, I told y'all I didn't have them all whenever I was a kid, and maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, I was on eBay one time and they had like for $10, somebody had every Bond movie on VHS. Even had Never Say Never Again on it.
The
And I
whole
bought
collection?
$10 on VHS, and I bought it, and it was sent in this big box, and even had a note in it that was like, Jonathan, I really hope that your family enjoys this series as much as mine did. It was
Oh
really
man.
sweet.
Yeah, that's really
It is really
cool.
sweet.
But that was one hell of a deal. $10
Yeah.
for like 19 movies or however many it was. It was awesome.
The
Yeah.
shipping alone on that would have been probably about $10 if you think about it. So
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
deal.
I would like to say, John, I don't know if you guys knew about this, but VHS has been making a comeback here lately. Like people have been collecting VHSs. I know there's people looking for certain VHS copies of some movies. I think like if you find a copy of Cars on VHS, it's like 10 grand.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If you can find a copy of, that's how much they're going for on eBay, like $10,000 for a copy of Cars.
Well, guys, I'm gonna be yard sailing from now on.
Oh my gosh.
Finding that damn Cars.
Yeah, that I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
It's insane. I was talking to
Wow.
somebody about it at the flea market. It's one of the last movies they ever made on VHS, and they didn't make.
Oh.
It was like a limited. It was like a limited amount
Yeah.
of movies made, but also people are going back and retro making movies on VHS. I've seen them make movies like in the past couple of years, like they're like retro porting it to VHS and doing like custom cases and stuff. So it'd be cool if you got like the Craig era films made on VHS, John.
That would
That's what
be really cool.
I thought about that too. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be really cool.
I don't know why I want to know this, but I really do. So are they doing like a 4:3 aspect ratio too? Or just
I don't know. I haven't seen anything other than like the made tape and the made VHS cases.
the reason I ask is because if that's the case, I can see the old big boxy style TVs coming back into style too.
I think a
CRT
lot of people.
TVs.
I think a lot of people are getting old TVs to play old video games too.
Yep.
So like you got an uptake in VHS players and older televisions. So I don't know how true that is, but I do know
Buy stock in Toshiba and Sanyo and
Mega Box.
yeah.
Guys, that is really interesting. I did not
Yeah.
know a lot
I'm
of
really
what you
sorry.
just talked about.
I'm sorry,
That is-
man.
I think it's interesting as hell. I did
I was
not
gonna
know
say,
that.
I hope you're not apologizing to me. That's cool.
Well, it's just I thought it blew my mind when I found that out the other day.
Yeah.
So I thought it was nuts. I would like to say something on the topic of Moore. So since this is my first time watching Moore as a Bond, I don't know why I love this movie. I don't know if it's just him or his charisma in the role or whatever, but I do think that like each time I watch a Bond for the first time, those movies have like a special meaning to me.
Yeah.
Because like as good as the ones that come after them, like it seems like everyone that I've seen so far, like I enjoy that first one a little bit more. I think, if that makes sense.
No, I completely agree. And I don't know who to give credit to for saying this. I heard somebody say it like each Bond actor's third movie is generally received as their best. I don't know if that's true. In my opinion, maybe Roger hasn't really settled into the role here, but I do really like how he plays Bond in this movie. Like whether he's made it his own or not, it's just I really enjoyed his performance.
Yeah, he definitely delivers a good one.
Mm.
Well, guys, any final words to say about Live and Let Die?
I've got one final thing, and this is kind of what I was messing with earlier. Look, you don't have to stop recording. Just take 2 seconds. I don't know what's going on with my phone. Um, I haven't got any of y'all's texts. Colton, do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Do me a favor, just call me real quick. That'll take 2 seconds.
Sure.
I don't know.
So is it not letting you answer? Ah, Caleb. Dang. Thank you. That makes me feel special.
Oh man, I figured Jonathan would get a kick out of that.
He didn't get to see it.
It was a bit.
He changed my name to Colton the Living Daylights Flat in his phone.
Oh,
It didn't play the audio, did it?
I love
No.
it.
It's the 007 theme when you call.
Oh
I love
man.
it.
I hate that.
Dang.
No, it didn't do the audio. I guess Zoom filters it out.
Yeah.
Because I
Dang,
tried
that
to
sucks.
that does kind of stink a little bit. It would have been really funny.
Let's try one more time.
Okay.
Actually, it's probably a good thing that it does because you might get a copyright strike. I didn't think about that.
Man,
it wouldn't be the first time I've been copyright struck. Yeah,
I think Zoom's just filtering it out.
yeah, I'm just
Dang.
filtering it out. But
just know that it's the 007 theme.
I got you. Well, I like it.
That's terrifying. I'm never gonna call you.
Well, guys, go ahead. Sorry.
I would just like to say I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I think it was great. I think it's just going to be up there in my top 10 with all the Bond's first films. I think that's going to be like the majority of my top 10 whenever we're done. Just those first films for everybody. So
yeah, like I want to go ahead and propose whenever we do finally get done with all these movies, we need to have one episode where we show our rankings off for each of us.
I agree. I think that would be great.
Yes, but
hey, real quick, when I was trying to do my bit,
yeah,
before that, you asked our final thoughts. Did y'all get to Colton? Did you get to say your piece?
Oh yeah. The only other I have one other thing to add. I know it's not Mel Gibson and Highlander. It's definitely Christopher Lambert. Other than that, you can go ahead, Caleb.
What the hell's Highlander?
Oh my god!
I'm kidding.
Oh, you about had me, man. Oh my god, I love Highlander. That's my favorite Sean Connery movie.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to the James Bond fandom, that's my favorite Sean Connery movie.
That's entirely fair. My final thoughts. I just enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and I think a lot of it has to do with Roger Moore, honestly.
yes,
I feel like I kind of sold Roger short to Colton. I really did, because from what I remember, and I think I've already said this, Roger kind of ranks low as Bond for me, and his movies generally rank toward the bottom. But dude, I just liked the hell out of him in this movie. Like,
yeah, he did a great
I guess that's
job
it.
in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my piece on it. Live and Let Die, one of my favorites, has always been one of my favorites. There's just so many movies that I always say that's one of my top fives. Maybe Live and Let Die would not be a top five, but it would be a close 6 or 7.
Man, that's what I was thinking. Like, it is.
Because I mean, I've said it's a top five before, but then I go back and I'm like, man, I've got a lot of them that I really like really, really like, and I like this one a lot too. But it's just, I think there might be 5 that kind of push this one out, but it's close.
Is this Guy Hamilton's second movie?
Yes, it is. It. Hold up. No, it's his
third.
third.
Yeah.
It's his third because Goldfinger, Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Live and Let Die, and The Man with the Golden Gun. Correct. That's his 4.
That sounds right here.
Okay.
Let me pull up. The reason I brought him up to begin with is like that dude's got some range, man.
Yeah, Guy Hamilton's awesome, man. Like,
I would have never guessed he directed this movie if I hadn't seen his name.
but,
It wasn't noticeable that he directed it, I don't think, compared to the other ones.
Hey, I will say this. I noticed this like as soon as the movie opened. One little gripe for me. I know this means nothing to y'all, but they went back to the like the flat aspect ratio,
Yep.
and to me it just gives it kind of a
TV look of what it looks like to me.
like a cheaper look.
Look, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But well, is there anything else you guys would like to add before we turn it off for this one?
Just make sure to like, share, subscribe to For Your Eyes Only, and make sure you leave us a review on Spotify.
Yeah, leave us a review, even if you hated it, even if you hate us with a passion. Tell us about it, man. We want to know. Not that we're going to change anything, but we still want to know.
I don't want to know. If you got something negative to say about me, please be kind.
Fair enough. Be kind, rewind, right?
That's right. Be kind, rewind. That's what we're going to end with.
So before we leave today, guys, I would like to read some feedback we've gotten from a few of our listeners.
Oh, yeah, okay? I forgot about this. Go ahead.
You can go ahead and say what you're going to say, Caleb. I'm going to look up their...
I was just going to say, don't speed through my parish.
Well, thank you for that. So, one of our listeners, Kyle Galt, who is actually a personal friend of mine, on Facebook, he said, if you like James Bond 007 podcast and long drives, this Spotify page is for you. They really go in deep on the characters and films. Plus, you learn some fun facts you didn't know along the way. He said you should check it out and enjoy. And I just want to personally thank Kyle for that. I think it's great.
Thanks, dude.
And,
give it up for Kyle. Thank you.
I appreciate Kyle for that.
Yeah, man.
Seriously.
And then we have one more piece of feedback, and I've got to go to YouTube to read it. So if you guys have got anything else you want to say while I'm looking that up.
Yeah, I want to say something. Next time, if we have any new fan, reviews, we will do that at the beginning of the episode. So they won't have to wait until the end. I go a little bit wild whenever I do these podcasts. So we'll do it the first part. And you do it too, Caleb.
Fair enough.
Dude, you're the only one keeping this shit together, man.
I agree.
The comments and feedback will be sort of like our gun barrel.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that makes a lot of sense that it would be our gun barrel. We probably do need to do it earlier. I forgot every podcast prior to bring up the feedback, and I would like to just throw it out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, in this case, it'll encourage people to stick around. So
stick around.
At least it'll encourage maybe 2 people.
Maybe 2 people. So this was a comment on YouTube on our Goldfinger episode.
No, yeah, Gold member.
Gold member. It comes from A Blackness Monster, who is Andrew Black. He says, great episode. It was really fun and great guest. Who he was talking about Caleb. He said Caleb was hilarious, which by now Caleb has become a full-time member of the podcast. I would just like to say thank you for Andrew and his comment on YouTube.
Give it up for Andrew.
Appreciated.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate the feedback, but that's a shit take.
He says you're fucking hilarious, man.
I know. That's a shit take.
No, man, you are
I'm
hilarious.
kidding. No, thanks, man. That's all that stuff is I don't know, that's valuable to me. It really is.
It's valuable to me too. I'm glad somebody's taking some
yeah, man,
something out of this.
Well, just like to me, if you take a second out of your day to leave feedback or hell even leave a like,
or even just listen to us babble on about 50-year-old movies. I mean, that's something to me.
For hours on end.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we just all appreciate our listeners.
Yes, most definitely. But well, guys, for your ears only, a Bondcast will return in 1974's The Man with the Golden Gun. And if you guys don't have anything else to say, we'll go ahead and let the credits roll on this one.
I will say, for our listeners out there,
Jesus Christ! No, I'm just kidding.
the pod is taking like a 3-week hiatus, and we'll be back with The Man with the Golden Gun.
Speak for yourself. I'm gonna do this shit on my own.
Yeah. So Colton. So we will be gone for 3 weeks, and then we will come back, right?
We'll be gone for 3 weeks, and we'll come back with A Man with a Golden Gun.
So we will see you. Well, we will talk to you guys in 3 weeks, and we will be going over 1974's The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh wait,
Thank you for helping me.
Oh, it's 3 weeks from now, ain't it?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna miss you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you too, buddy.
Dude, this shit's a lot of fun to me. Seriously,
I look forward to it every week.
Yeah, I love it too. But well, guys, thank you for being here with me and nerding out with me. It's always a pleasure. I love it, boys.
I love it too.
Likewise.
Dog.
And
hey, I got one more thought. God damn it! Sorry.
Go ahead.
The game. We need to. We said something about. You may want to do that on your own. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm gonna say this. There is a new Bond game that has come out. It's on the mobile phones. It's only on Apple phones and devices. It's called Cypher 007, and it is a very interesting little game. I think you guys, I think if anybody is listening likes Bond and you have an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac or whatever Apple device you have, I think you will probably get something out of it. It is really, I really like it. It's I mean, I don't really put much stock into phone games, but I mean, it's pretty good. And Colton and Caleb, you both would probably really like it.
Yeah, see, I haven't played it yet, and that's why I wanted you to. Yeah.
I will say I'm going to download it this week and play it on vacation. So take the iPad with me. I'll probably get pretty far in it.
Dude,
hopefully.
You know what? Let me pause my Microsoft Flight Simulator update, and I'll download that game right now. Y'all just hold on, and I'll give a live review right here.
All right.
I'm just kidding.
But well, all right, guys. I've been Jonathan Lonham signing off.
Colton
Peace
Flat.
out. Caleb Humphrey.
Caleb Humphrey.
Caleb Humphrey. All right. Humphrey, Flat, deuces, my boys.
Thank you for joining us on episode 8 for your ears only, a Bondcast, Live and Let Die.